TikTok time to rock. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon to everyone who's watching. Got a good show for you on the Islamic Dilemma. There was some minor drama over this particular debate. They recorded it, I don't know, a few weeks ago or whatever, but they recorded a bunch of stuff, and then apparently the Muslim side and the Christian side were all kind of messaging Brian and saying, why isn't this released? Why isn't this released? And then the Muslims released their own bootleg copy of it. And, we'll teach you to cover up this debate where we destroy the Islamic dilemma. And then IP was like, what are you talking about? We've been asking to get the debate out there too. But then Brian went ahead and released the debate, and we're going to check it out. I have not seen any of this, although I've seen some people arguing over points made I saw people on X arguing over points made and whether sources were being quoted accurately. What about you guys? You guys see some of this or all of this or any of this?
I watched it today.
I guess we'll take turns here. Chris.
Go ahead, Chris.
So I watched it earlier today. I couldn't resist. I had it in the background. So I've seen it. Jai, have you seen it?
I heard mostly about the background of it, as David just outlined, and my general rule is, okay, if we're ever going to have like debates with Muslims, I always actually encourage Christians to use your own recordings. Never trust Muslims with, that they're going to share it or not edit it or whatever. Well, it turns out that they had an agreement. The Christians and Muslims had an agreement that Brian was going to be the one. That's the guy who hosted it. He's going to be the one that publishes the video. You can come in. You can bring a camera. That you could like an iPhone or whatever smartphone and take pictures like that. But the idea was that they're going to control the footage, they're going to control the video, and then release it. And so there was apparently somebody, Life had showed the video of this. Somebody was in studio. They were caught recording. That person was actually kicked out or removed because they were recording. So they stopped production. And I said, what are you doing? I can see like a light or something. Are you recording? First, the guy denied it. And he's like, oh, actually, it is. It's internally recording. It's audio recording. And, if you guys want to watch Life's video, if you haven't seen Life's video, he showed the actual footage. Basically, the guy got kicked out because he was recording. So anybody who was there knows if you're recording, you shouldn't be, because it's clear that they don't want other people recording, right? That's the agreement. So if those are the rules and you guys all kind of are there and you see what's going on, then you either agree or you don't agree. If you don't agree, then don't do the debate. If you don't agree to the rules, right? You don't agree to the structure, then don't do it. But they did it. Atachi's mom was there recording, and she was, I guess the apples didn't fall too far from the tree. And, she was being a little sneaky and gave like you said, a bootleg version of the debate, which didn't really do much because it came out a couple of days later anyway on Brian's channel. So.
Was if her mom was there, was her mom also mocking the deaths of those 20 cops and the other guy who was with them?
Probably. But you know what's funny about that is I heard the TikTok Muslims talking about how first of all she was wearing like gold rings and she had nail polish. And like, it's very clear that these people don't know Islam very well, and you're not supposed to do these things. And they were also asking, like, why was she sitting so close to these men who are not her husband, not like her, guardians, right? And then they were saying, oh, but she brought her mom. I was thinking, wait, your mom can't be your guardian. Your mom needs a guardian. So you need to have in Islam, you need to have a male family member.
She said her mom was her guardian. What do you mean
it's
guardian?
Like
I've got my mom.
Like a chaperone.
I got my mom.
Yeah, she thinks it's like a kindergarten or like elementary school where your mom's a chaperone or something like that, and that counts as.
Try taking your mom to Saudi. Just you and your mom go to Saudi.
Yeah, try that.
Maybe it's like a cultural difference here, but she brought her mom to the debate. Isn't that? I don't know, like, that just seems weird to me. Why would you bring your mom to a debate?
So Chris is thinking like an adult is bringing their mother, right? That's what Chris is thinking.
No, that we're
maybe that's like a very West thinking.
Yeah, that's another aspect of it. But they're trying to do things.
Actually a mom.
What's that?
Yeah. No, it is a mom.
Yeah, her mom. Yeah.
Her actual mom.
Yeah, her mom.
Yeah. Hey, mom, I'm gonna be debating some Islamophobes on this debate thing. Would you come with me and secretly record? I don't know. I find everything about that weird to me.
Maybe your mom like drives around or something like that. Like Mom, can you give me a ride? Can you give me a ride to the debate?
Why would you bring it in the room? Like, I don't know.
I wonder what her mom thinks about Arabic because it was terrible.
Oh yeah, that's a good point.
And the way she was reading is like worse than primary school.
That's a good point. You guys here is talking a lot about Muslims, like their Arabic and stuff, and this is just another example. So 2 out of the 3 Muslims supposedly speak Arabic, and they're just so bad. And it's like I'm trying to find an example of like, okay, look, there's a Muslim on their side, and he actually speaks good Arabic. So we're like, we don't just do this to everybody. Like, I don't want people to think that like anytime someone speaks Arabic from the Muslim side, we're just like, oh, they speak terrible Arabic. But these guys admit it. Like I was watching I saw like one video from this guy, the Muslim apologist or whatever his name is, and he actually admitted in the video that he can't actually speak Arabic. He can understand it. He can probably read it to some level, but he's not proficient in it. And this was my first experience hearing Atachi reading a sentence in Arabic.
It was bad. It was like a little 7-year-old trying to read and failing badly. I don't know. Muslims in the US, where are your Arabs?
That's what I'm saying.
You don't have one person who can read a sentence. Where are you?
Yeah, Sheikh Usman.
It's embarrassing. Yeah, they didn't Sheikh Usman. Yeah. So we actually didn't see the debate, but Elijah, shout out to Elijah. He was the one that made Malik drive 15 miles away from the church when he kind of stepped over and was like, hey, what's going on, man? And the guy like drove away really fast. But so that's Elijah. Shout out to Elijah. We watched his stream last night. He was doing a review of it. And that was when I heard that section, I was like, you have to hear this. And so I just showed it to her and it was just bad.
We'll go through it. Yeah. I think David's Arabic is probably better. Honestly.
Yeah.
At this point.
Normally I don't care. If a Muslim is great or terrible at Arabic, unless they're trying to like pull rank and say, well, yes, the Arabic means this. And then
that's
I'm like,
what they
did. DOC needs to burn this lady up, and that's how it is. Like, then or this dude or something like that. Especially when they're like, you guys don't even know the Arabic. The Arabic is this, and then DOC's like, oh, you left an entire syllable out. You don't even know the word. And then that's when it's fun. So Chris, go ahead.
Yes.
Do you notice that no one claps back at us for any Arabic that we've ever clapped back?
Yeah, why is that? You guys are just making fun of people left and right for their terrible Arabic, and that could be an ongoing series, how not to speak Arabic with American da'is, and you just play clips of them and make fun of them. Hey, so Chris, you said you watched the debate. Was there anything in there that would make you think the Christians really didn't want this released?
No, like not at all. Why would you think? No, seriously, there's nothing in that I think is bad for Christians at all. It's, to be honest, it's them just giving like the weakest responses that they kind of admit are really weak. Or at least one of them does, and I'm really confused by that. There's a lot of things in this that are just strange. They really obsess over Gabriel Syed Reynolds like throughout, which is weird. Like that's a weird person to think is on your team on this.
I'd love if they want to enlist him for help. That'd be awesome.
They conflate two things, and this is the latest thing they do now. This is the fashionable Islamic Dilemma thing. It's just to quote someone like Syed Reynolds saying that the Quran author is really familiar with the Torah and the Gospel, and then imply from that he must know the text rather than just hearing stories, and insist that they must, like, the Quranic author, whoever this is, obviously Allah, he clearly knows the text of the Torah and Gospel, and they need to say that because that kind of gives them a basis to say conscious edits and all this other stuff. But it's just not true, and that's not Gabriel Syed Reynolds' opinion. So I don't know why they keep mentioning him. To be honest with you, I don't know. I'll maybe send him an email or something to clarify on this, because they need to stop quoting him. It's getting annoying.
Hey, Giant DOC, have you guys heard this new term, Terabic?
Terabic.
I like that.
Terabic.
Terabic, yeah.
That's something to steal. That's something to steal.
Yeah. But you know what that reminds me of? That reminds me of the debate that you, David, had with Shabir. He's I think it was about like if Islam is peaceful, and he's quoting all these like modernists and these like people from like our generation, and you're like, I'm quoting Ibn Kathir. I'm quoting your classical scholars. And so this is another instance where, even as Chris is pointing out, this is not Gabriel's position. But even if it were, it's like, we're going to your classical scholars. You guys are going to modern scholarship that people aren't even Muslims. We're going to your classical sources.
Yeah, I mean, Islam, I've never seen anything that cherry picks like this, but I mean, they'll even do that. It doesn't matter what they do. If they go to the Bible, they're like the supreme cherry pickers. They'll pick a verse that they can somehow twist by a stretch of the imagination into being about Muhammad, and then they'll ignore all the verses that come right before it, which refute them. They'll ignore all the verses that come right after it, which refute them. They'll ignore the entire rest of the book, which completely refutes Islam and so on. And nope, this is the proof right here, this thing that we've zeroed in on. But they'll do the same thing with their own sources, with the Quran and with the Hadith. They'll look at this verse of the Quran and say, oh, we can twist this one into something that agrees with us on the Islamic Dilemma. What about these other 180 verses that completely contradict? Well, who cares about those? They zero in only on what agrees with them. But and they'll do now. They of course do that with scholars, and so. Yeah. They're frequently just giving up on the Quran and going to any scholar who says something that they can twist into agreeing with them. And it's like, wait a minute, guys. If the Quran doesn't say what you're saying it says, I don't care what the scholar says. Like, it's just mind-boggling. It's like, show us where the Quran says what you believe. You can't. And so... But this guy says this about us. Okay, does that guy trump Allah? Because Allah doesn't say it. Anyway, we've got some weird situations going on here. I saw Black Angel sharing the link to Chris's book. And I also put it in the description. Guys.
Oh, nice. Oh, you beat me to it.
Ha!
Oh,
yeah, slow.
Nice.
A little slow on the draw there, Chris. A little slow on. You got to be quick on the draw with the Islamic Dilemma. You got to be quick. You got to be quick with the Islamic Dilemma.
Oh, we want one to put on our shelf.
Yeah, we're gonna put it on our bookshelves eventually.
Oh, awesome!
Oh yeah, yeah. Nice I can give you guys one because I got the hardback and the soft cover, so you can take one for the bookshelf.
Go on the bookshelf, Chris.
Yeah, Chris. Nice. Go on top shelf.
Now, Chris, since you're the only one so far that has watched this debate, if a person had purchased your book and learned your book, would they be able to hold their own in a debate like this?
Yeah. So interestingly, I have suspicions. Okay. Well, it might just be coincidence because I got this from someone who also has contributed to this Islamic Dilemma argument. And I included their argument in my book. So I don't know if one of the Christian panelists had read my book and used that argument, or if they just happened to know where I was influenced from in the first place. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of overlap between what these guys were using and what's in my book. There's additional stuff in my book that would be awesome to bring out as well. So yeah, the fact that I have a suspicion that at least one person was influenced by it is really, really good. So yeah.
Very, very based. All right.
Nice.
So, guys, anyway, point here is you've seen all of this year and all of last year that even Islam's top apologists can't answer the Islamic dilemma, which should help a lot of Christians. I've met lots of Christians over the years who are worried about engaging with Muslims because they're not familiar with Muslim arguments, and they think, oh, they're going to have all these arguments and I won't know how to respond. Well, you're on pretty safe ground if you learn the Islamic dilemma really, really well, because anything you can show from the Bible, if it disagrees with Islam, they're going to have to say your book's been corrupted, and there you are, right into the Islamic dilemma. So I'd say grab a book, read the book, watch some videos, watch some debates on it, and very soon you will be able to hold your own in any discussion with Muslims. All right, we ready to jump into this?
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Let's check it out.
Is the Quran the final revelation of God?
Beautiful. Beautiful.
Beautiful. First word.
Beautiful. Is the Quran the final word of God? Beautiful. Wait,
They were so nervous, even about the topic.
Perfect.
Okay, perfect.
Is the Quran the final word of God? Okay, perfect. Is it not the word of God? Okay, perfect. Wait, could you actually say anything coherent at any time? Gosh, that didn't last long. We are 5 seconds into this. All right. Here we go.
No, it is not the final revelation of God. It has so much incoherence in it that we cannot trust it. It's clearly comes from human origin. The biggest reason we would say is clearly going to be the Islamic dilemma. The Quran constantly,
Good point.
and dozens upon dozens of verses, confirms our scriptures, the scriptures that we have that are between our hands over and over again. Therefore, it's confirming scriptures that it contradicts. So either, this is what we call the Islamic dilemma. If we have the scriptures from God, then we have to judge Islam as false because our scriptures contradict the Quran. If our scriptures have been corrupted, well, then the Quran is confirming corrupted scriptures. So it cannot be the final revelation from God.
Beautiful.
Huh. Wait, did he say beautiful again? Is there anything you could say where they would not say either perfect or beautiful to it?
So I mean, I guess I wrongly assumed it was just a Quora thing. Maybe it's just a TikTok thing. Maybe this is like what the TikTok Muslims all do. Like whenever they're met with something, beautiful, perfect.
No, maybe they coordinate it. Maybe it's like, okay, you say, okay, perfect. I say beautiful. You say, and they just have their own
or maybe they
lines.
came up with a list of all the things they want to say, and then they had to like draw straws to see who got what. And it's like, no, I wanted perfect. Why did Cora get it? No, I'm stuck with beautiful. I seriously wonder if like, because they say it in like really awkward situations. Like people would even be saying some really mean things about Muhammad. They'll, okay, perfect. It's like weird. It's like, okay, guys, if you say perfect one more time, perfect or beautiful as a response, one more time, I'm going to eat your book. Okay, perfect. Beautiful. Wait, what? Anyway.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm trying to figure out, is it like just a filler word that they're like trying to do like save time and fill some space and they don't want to be silent, so they just say something? Or is it just like a strategy or something? And also, what is Itachi wearing? What is that? Is he like a samurai or something?
I don't know.
Wow.
I mean, I guess if you're anonymous, then why not flaunt it? You know, no
I
one
guess
knows you
so.
are. So being a katana, like go the full 100 on this. Why hold back? No one will know.
Bring a samurai sword next time.
Bring a samurai sword with you. Yeah,
Maybe
I agree.
not.
I just have to say, I mean, you still got Muslims who get offended at the ninja comparison, but come on here. Now you're leaning into it.
Yeah, that's clearly leaning into it. So, yeah, just odd, weird.
Here we go.
That's good. So we would say that the basic response or the basic way to get around this is that we affirm as Muslims that the Quran generally confirms the previous scriptures. We wouldn't say that it's an absolute confirmation.
He said generally confirmed. So they're going general confirmation, eh? That going to be their approach? General confirmation?
Yeah, of course, yeah. So they're lean responds, Dean responds inspired. That's the direction they're going to take here.
Yep. Only a couple directions they can go, ladies and gentlemen. One very common one is the general confirmation
of every specific doctrine that you guys would hold to. And the main reason we would say this is because the author of the Quran seems to be familiar with the Jewish Christian scriptures. And while doing so, he edits parts that he doesn't find to be
general confirmation and conscious edits. How original.
With his Christology.
Did you guys notice that they say the author of, like all of them say the author of the Quran? Like that's, all of them say that now.
Like they don't know it's Allah or something?
They're trying to like pretend to be like, oh, let's be neutral. So we're not going to say it's Allah, but we'll just say the author of the Quran. They all say it though.
It's like, weird because
like one of them said it, or you know,
we started that. That like for debate purposes, because you don't want to say Muhammad, but you don't want to say Allah. Sometimes you say it, so Allah declares, Allah says, but when you're talking about the Quran and stuff, and you're not trying to take a side for or against until you've built up your case. You say the author of the Quran. So this shows that the author of the Quran clearly had no clue what he was talking about. Now, if you're saying that's God, okay, then you're saying God had no clue what he's talking about. If you're saying it's Muhammad, okay, we can understand Muhammad not knowing what he's talking about.
They all adopted it though. They've like it's like the okay, perfect, and beautiful thing. They all say it.
I just don't understand if someone says I confirm something, where you get from that statement that I'm editing something. It's moronic at this point. Like, what does Allah need to do to show them He likes the older scriptures? He confirms them. Confirms means that yes, that's true. Where you get from that general versus specific, He just says I confirm. To me it sounds moronic. To me it sounds like
it is
a lawyer trying to like someone had died or something and written something, and a lawyer is trying to put stipulations in the words where they don't exist.
It's kind of like, my client is guilty, but he's generally innocent, and I'm consciously editing the accusations.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's like, okay.
And I mean,
so you have in the Quran, you have Yahya or John. He's confirming Jesus, the word, right? He's confirming Jesus. No Muslim would say, "Oh, he's just generally confirming Jesus," but there's nothing that qualifies. It's confirming, but it's like it's a confirmer. It's an active thing. It's an active participle. It means like it's something you're constantly doing this thing. So it's constantly confirming. It's attesting to. It's verifying what it's doing. So John, would you say John the Baptist? He's generally confirming Jesus. Is he? What is that? What does that even mean? What would that even mean?
It's a step to be like. So your conclusion can be, oh, but he contradicts him in other places, the specific places that he didn't confirm.
He's consciously editing Jesus.
So basically, they're trying to
That's where it would go down,
turn the statement on its opposite.
Yeah.
If you start by general, that means this specific. Now we're going to, it contradicts in places that are specific. Mm-hmm. That's how the devil is, man.
Yeah.
It's like you just want to turn Allah's statement on its head, but you want to do it softly, and you think you're slick. It's like, you're not slick.
And this general confirmation, this all goes back to them not understanding that one passage in Ibn Kathir, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. What it's actually saying in the Arabic is general belief. General belief. It's not even saying general confirmation. It's saying general belief.
And the general belief, why? Because Muslims didn't know the specifics, and Muhammad was too illiterate to tell them any specifics. So when they would meet a Christian or a Jew, and the Christian or Jew would challenge them, they would be like, "Oh, we don't have that detail.
Yeah, we just believe what's revealed to you.
We believe what generally you have." So without the specifics, why? Because they don't know where to go with it. That's why Muhammad said, "Don't believe them and don't disbelieve them," because of their ignorance. So they're using their ignorance to try and make our scripture wrong when it's actually their ignorance.
Of what the term actually refers.
Yeah, think about, guys, like everyone watching, multiple levels of ignorance here. So Muhammad knew that his followers were pretty ignorant about the contents of the Torah and the gospel. And so what happens if Jews or Christians down the road are questioning you about this or that, and hey, tell us about this and that and this and that, and what about this and what about that? And you're just supposed to say, hey, I don't have the specific knowledge. I don't have the specific, but what I do is I believe in it in general. So, hey, I believe in all. I don't know the details. I don't know the details of all this stuff. I believe in it in general. And that's the point. That's the point of this passage. But now you've got Muslims who, a new generation of ignorance, where they don't know what this passage is even about, and they see general, and they think, oh, the Quran is kind of confirming the gist of the Torah and the gospel, but not everything in there. There's tons of stuff in there that it's not confirming. It's just, some general ideas in there. And so they're ignorant of what was being said, which was Muhammad's concern about his followers being ignorant and having to run into people who actually know what they're talking about. And it's just like, and so they're basing one of their main three responses to the Islamic dilemma on their complete misunderstanding of what this general belief or general confirmation even means. They're not getting it right, and they don't seem to care because they've been corrected on it numerous times and they keep using it.
I just want to add one thing, and it just drives me mad. They use the word general wrong. The word general, they actually mean specific, but they don't care. And I've explained this to them many, many times. You're using the wrong word. You mean to say that Allah is only confirming specific parts of the scripture. You don't actually mean a general confirmation, because that would include way more than you're actually talking about. But for the life of me, they refuse to change it. So we're just going to call it by the wrong name now, apparently.
And by the way, the general belief also applies to the Quran.
Yeah.
If you happen to be an ignorant Muslim, general belief applies to Quran and Torah and Gospel. If you're ignorant, you should just put your hands up and say, I generally confirm, don't ask me specifics.
Yeah, well, not even the word confirm is, we're just saying confirm because that's what they're saying, but it actually means general belief. Yeah, general faith or belief.
General iman.
Yeah.
Okay. They took that. Now, if you want to apply it that way, that means that Muslims who are ignorant of some of the Quran should contradict some of it.
Yeah, or they edit the Quran now.
Or you are consciously editing it.
It's just a mess, and we come to find out that this actually is an argument that came from ChatGPT. Dean and ChatGPT got together and came up with this, according to these people's manager on the screen right now, the Muslims manager.
Maybe DOC should make a video about Itachi consciously editing the Arabic language.
That's a good. Let me write that.
I got a pen right here for you. We have a red pen, so we're gonna make some corrections, and we're gonna write that down.
Yeah, look out, lady.
All right, let's check out their conscious edits and general confirmation here.
So on and so forth. The best example we can give for this is an intertext found in Surah Al-Hadid in comparison with the book of Matthew, where the author of the Quran mentions these details. That's number one.
Sorry, what chapter is that?
Surah Al-Hadid.
The number.
57. 57. Right? Where we see these intertexts with the Quranic author, and this is backed by scholarship by Gabriel Said Reynolds. In his book, The Bible and the Quran, he specifically mentions that the author of the Quran is familiar with the biblical prophets, familiar with the stories, right? And changes the prophetology according to what he believes is true. So because the author of the Quran...
Is it just me?
Okay,
What?
Go ahead, Jay.
I was just going to say, he reminds me of that guy, Saif. You remember Saif? The Muslim guy who does like all like the... Or you guys call him Saif? You guys call him Saif?
Saif.
Oh, Sifi.
Yeah.
Saif.
Yeah. Sifi. Yeah. That's your guy. Yeah. He reminds me of that guy. I don't know why. Maybe it's how he talks. Maybe he's Moroccan. I don't know what. But it's
Saif talk like this because these dumb Christians, they don't know. I haven't heard from Saif in a while, but
I miss him.
Yeah, my goodness, that was a dumb point right there, guys. Now, keep in mind, I don't know exactly what he's referring to, but he says Gabriel Said Reynolds confirms that the author of the Quran is familiar with the stories of the prophets, but he's changing them to suit what he wants.
So
I grant that right now. That's exactly what I believe. Muhammad's taking stories of everyone around him, and he's just twisting them into Islam.
Yeah,
I agree completely with that. I just don't know how you're getting conscious edits of the text of these books out of that.
So they do this intentionally. I'm convinced they do. Conscious edits is one of these, again, incredibly poorly defined ideas that's like named terribly, so it's really misleading. What they mean and what they're trying to get you to believe is that Allah is the author of the Torah and the Gospel and the Quran, and because he originally revealed all of these, when he finally reveals the Quran, whenever there's any contradictions, it's actually because the previous scriptures have been corrupted. This is your Bible's been corrupted argument. But the Quran author, the Quran author, I'm doing it too, is now intentionally contradicting himself by both confirming and contradicting these previous scriptures. But it's done on purpose because he's actually re-revealing the original. So in other words, if there's a contradiction in the story of Moses in the book of Genesis, the Torah, Exodus, so to speak, and the Quranic account, they're just going to say, well, that's intentional, and this is just Allah actually telling you the truth, how it was originally before it was corrupted, and he's putting that in the Quran. But then what they do with this idea is they take on a different meaning to it. They equivocate for something different, and that's just the idea that the Quran author intentionally goes his own way and just like changes things to make it sound good for him. Which, yeah, like David said, I completely agree. The Quran author does that. He does just take things and try to twist it for his own purposes. I think that's quite evident. That in the sense of he consciously edits that, sure. But that's not what they're trying to get you to believe, because that's not enough, because that doesn't resolve the contradictions. That just means that he's being, well, a man who just wants to pretend he's a prophet, right? And that's obviously not what they want you to think. So they actually want you to think, no, this is Allah re-revealing the original. And notice that's very different from what Gabriel Reynolds has said. So that's what
that would be massively different. Yeah, like my view would be something along the lines of, because the Quran is very clear that the author of the Quran believes the Jews and Christians have distorted their stories with their speech, and so since these guys since the Muslims, Muhammad only knows what's in there by hearing them, that he thinks if something's out of whack with what he's teaching, that, well, he just needs to make it line up with Islam, because whatever the original is, it has to line up with Islam. And so you get the Islamic version, and they're saying, aha, he's consciously editing the text. I don't know how you're getting that, but if he believes that people are misrepresenting the text, and he's only going off what he hears people saying. So yeah, this is just wild stuff. But anyway, you're not getting what you need from Gabriel Said Reynolds.
How do they know the intention of Allah is to consciously edit?
Especially since he never says it once.
Code.
If he's
literally
saying, I confirm.
That
and he never says, I edit.
That's exactly right. It goes back to what you said earlier. Like, you can't confirm something and then edit it because it's wrong. Then you're not confirming it, are you? You're changing it. You're literally saying you're wrong.
All it means is that the author of the Quran got it wrong. Like, what does he need to do to show you he's got it wrong? Because every time he gets it wrong, you say he's consciously editing it. It's like if I say I know exactly what David Wood said, and then I continue to say it, and I confirm it, and I say something David Wood never said, your first conclusion is that I didn't know what he said and I'm just making it up. You're never going to think, oh, she's just consciously editing it. It's the stupidest thing ever. It's like, it can't be. The possibility of the author of the Quran getting it wrong can't be. It can't be. So what do we need to do? We need to pretend that we know the intentionality of Allah, that no, he knew it was wrong. He just said confirm it just to be funny. He's actually consciously editing it.
Yeah, and so that's what gives rise to other groups, like the other camps of the Muslims who have other responses to the Islamic dilemma. And there are groups that say, like John Fontana, his group, that says no, actually when it says confirm, it actually means confirm. But those books we don't have those books today. So that creates another problem for them, but they understand you can't get around this part. These guys understand you can't get around the part that says the books are with you and these are the books that are in your hands. So it's like they both understand that there are certain parts you can't get around, but they don't kind of, if you piece it all together, then you put them together, then you guys get the full Islamic dilemma in
they're both getting it half right. They're both getting it half right.
Yeah, they're both getting it half right. Yeah.
Some of them are saying yes, Allah is very clearly affirming the inspiration and preservation and authority of these texts. But they're not the texts that you have, and in fact, no one has them. So sad. And then you've got the other camp. No, he's not affirming the preservation and authority of these texts. He's consciously editing them, so they're acknowledging the differences. But yeah, I mean, going back to what DOC was pointing out, for anyone who's kind of new to this, hopefully none of you are new to this at this point, but for anyone who's new to this, you've got tons of verses in the Quran where Allah says he's confirming the previous scriptures over and over again. He orders us to judge by the previous scriptures. even if Muhammad were to doubt the Quran, Muhammad could only deal with those doubts by going to the people of the book to see if his revelations line up with our revelations. It's all over the Quran, and there's never one word about us corrupting or changing our text. But you have all these places where the Quran says something different from what's in the Bible. And so we say, wait a minute, the Quran is confirming our texts, but our texts contradict the Quran. So they've got a problem here. And so what the conscious edits camp is saying, anywhere the Quran disagrees with the Bible, it's deliberately and consciously saying that those texts are wrong in those places, and it's giving the corrections. And so the point is like, wait a minute, why did he do nothing but say he confirms these texts then? Why? Why would he say that? Why wouldn't he say just like one time, oh, by the way, guys, there's all sorts of wrong things in these books, and that's why I'm correcting them over and over and over again. And so it's like, okay, if the Quran didn't say all these things about confirming the previous scriptures, and it just told different stories, might be completely reasonable to think, okay, the author of the Quran's consciously editing the previous text. But okay, now you've got to throw out well over 100 verses that don't go along with your theory very well. And anyway, this is the state of dawah.
All the Quran had to say is some of it is wrong and I'm correcting it.
Very simple for a clear book, yeah.
Well, where's the fun in
confirm
that?
It, but these parts are different.
Well, you got to make a little challenge.
Muhammad Hijab kind of introduced
like
it. What was that, Chris?
I was like, produce something like it. We've never seen anything like this before. I've never seen an author consciously edit his own work that he totally confirms and still does, but he goes against it and changes it. I've never seen that. The Quran's pretty unique.
Yeah, Muhammad Hijab kind of introduced this problem. That's when I kind of began to think about it, but I guess you can apply it here as well. And it's, if you're going to be consistent with this methodology, you're going to run into a number of problems. Like, for example, when Allah says to believe in him, does that mean full belief or general belief, or like follow the commands of Muhammad, follow the commands of Allah, what he's forbidden, what he's not forbidden? Following him, is it just generally following him, general belief? When you believe in the angels, is it just you believe in some of the angels, or generally you believe in angels? Like, what, believe in the books? They're saying for the books, generally believe in the books. So why doesn't it apply to the other pillars of, like things that you're supposed to believe in?
The Quran also confirms itself as the word of Allah. Does that mean that it's always consciously editing itself when it contradicts itself? And also, even the title is stupid, which you never hear any scholar saying conscious edit, as opposed to what? Unconscious edit? Is Allah unconscious? Could that be possible? You should have just said edit. Now you're introducing an idea that you could be also unconsciously or subconsciously editing. It's all stupid. It's like, you can tell that it's some dawah guys trying to act or sound clever saying conscious.
Yeah.
Because you don't want you to think it's unconsciously editing, which basically means you're ignorant. You're just talking out,
we might need AP to dress up like Sigmund Freud again, and to get Allah on the couch to psychoanalyze him and to find out whether his edits are subconscious, or conscious.
Some people sleepwalk. Maybe sometimes someone can sleep-write, or someone can sleep.
Yeah, Allah was sleepwalking through those verses. Unconsciously doing it.
Okay, that's what it means. Okay.
Yeah,
subconsciously wetting the bed too.
He's the greatest of sleepwalkers.
Yeah, so everyone watching, imagine you're trying to find out, suppose I'm a Muslim and you're trying to find out if I know DOC and Jai, right? And so you say, hey, you know Jai and DOC? And I say, so again, imagine I'm a Muslim. I say, oh yes, Jai and DOC are the best. I love what they say. What they say is spot on. You'd be like, wait, you're a Muslim and you're saying that? Yeah, Jai and DOC. Yeah, they're right about everything. Yeah, you should just listen to them. Go with whatever they say. Just go with whatever they say. And then so you're really confused, wait, Jai and DOC? So then you go to Jai and DOC and you ask them, and they say all this stuff that completely contradicts Islam. And then so you're trying to figure this out, and so you go to some of the person's friends, hey, that dude is confirming everything they say and saying judge by what they say and go along with whatever they say, and yet what they're saying completely contradicts Islam. And then the person's friends say, oh yeah, it's because he's consciously editing what they say. He's confirming it and saying, yeah, just go along with them. But wherever they disagree with him, he's consciously editing what they. It's like, what? Why didn't he say that then instead of just confirming whatever they say? You're making no sense here. It doesn't make sense to speak that highly of them and then not to mention at all that they contradict him, and then to just assume that what he really meant was, oh yeah, I'm consciously editing. Anytime I disagree, go with what I'm saying and they're wrong. But I couldn't actually say that they're wrong. I had to do it in this other weird way.
It sounds like one of these. Sorry, what was that, Chris?
Okay, I was just gonna say. No, come on.
We're doing the British thing where we're just like,
it's too British.
Yeah, you go. Yeah. No, you go. It just reminds me of the Andrew Wilson kind of crazy scenarios to justify anything, and that's kind of like what these guys are doing. They're just like, it's the most ad hoc. Like, no one would ever think that this is what the intention was of the Quran, or whoever's writing the Quran or whatever. No one ever think that, but it's like, in order to try to make sense of it, you're like, have to go through this crazy scenario, which it's impossible, and it makes no sense. Confirming doesn't actually mean confirming. Verify doesn't mean verifying. When you have doubts and you're going to...
What's a debate?
What's a debate? What's a confirmation?
What's a confirmation? Because it doesn't mean what normal people think of confirmation, which means I agree with you. It means, no, I'm actually consciously editing you.
It's just like this crazy scenario that it's an impossible world that would never...
And if I'm consciously editing you, it means I'm right and you're wrong. Yeah. Gaslighting Allah, Allah's gaslighting everybody in the Quran. Yeah, I like you, I confirm you, but actually I'm consciously editing you and not telling anyone about it. I'm just waiting for the 21st century when they actually, are literate enough to open the Bible and realize it. That I've been unconsciously editing this the whole time, actually.
So I actually like what Jai, you were saying earlier, how, if you apply this to all these other topics, it would be insane. And I think even beyond Islam, if you just brought this way of, oh wow.
I wondered what happened. I wondered what would happen if I touched on the other that button on the other side. That's what happened. That was
maximize.
Funny. And it was quick too. Anyway.
Oh,
go ahead, Chris.
Yeah. So just the normative way that we talk about things goes insane. So I was like challenging Muslims to just tell me honestly how they would interpret this event. And I said, imagine a stranger walks up to you and says, I confirm the Quran. And then he doesn't say anything else, and he just leaves. He just walks off. How would you interpret what he just said? And all of them were like, well, I guess he may have just been confirming a part of the Quran. And I'm like, so that's how you would think, that's how you would understand that. You would, because they know as soon as they admit, yeah, I think he meant the whole Quran. Then they've just thrown Allah under the bus, because that's exactly what Allah does in the Quran. So they have to be like, no, I mean, he could just mean he affirms Surah Al-Fatiha, but he doesn't believe in any other parts of the Quran. It's insane. And they have to tell you that with a straight face. That's how they would understand it. Imagine if, Christians, someone comes up to you and says, I believe in the Bible, says nothing else, and then walks away, and you're like, I bet he doesn't believe in the Book of Numbers. You'd be like, what? Why would you think that? But... It's just crazy.
That's the miracle of the Quran.
Check out Gert and Buster here. You don't see Muslims creating YouTube channels critiquing and degrading Christian. What? I can't even tell if you're trolling or not. What planet do you live on, dude? There are dozens and dozens and dozens of Muslim channels that are sitting there complaining about Christianity all day and attacking Christianity all day. Does Islam live in y'all thick skulls? Does Allah and the Prophet Muhammad really upset y'all that much? Think about the irony here. Islam is gonna take over the world. Islam is gonna enter every home. Islam is gonna violently subjugate all of you. Okay, well, guess we better respond to this. Oh my gosh, is Islam living rent-free in your heads? What a dork, man.
But they want us to open the Quran and read it and discuss Islam and come to the beauty and the haqq and the hikmah. And then when we discuss the beauty and the haqq and the hikmah and say, well, that doesn't sound like hikmah if Allah says in one thing and intentionally I'm meaning another, and then they don't like it and they say you're obsessed with it. So what do you want us to do?
Beautiful.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful. Just say beautiful. And
so just say, okay, perfect, and just accept Islam without looking into it.
All you got to do.
And you guys keep complaining about the grooming gangs and what they're doing to little girls. Oh my goodness. Get a life.
Does it really upset you that much?
Does it really upset you what we're doing to the little girls? Does it really upset you that much? What's wrong with you? Mind your own business. All right, let's check out this debate.
There is this material. We would say that is not an absolute confirmation. And that'll be the basic response. What do you guys think of that?
Yeah, I think that
one, there's nowhere in the Quran that says that. There's nowhere in the Quran that it gives any such idea or implication of a partial confirmation. Over and over again, you see the Quran saying that it confirms the Torah and the Gospel. It confirms the Torah and the Gospel. It confirms what is with you, chapter 2, verse 41. It commands the Jews and the Christians to believe in the Quran because it confirms what they have with them. And so it wouldn't make sense
The dude in the middle nodding as God Logic is saying this.
that the Quran is saying, oh, well, actually, it's only confirming some of what you have, so believe in the Quran because it's in line with part of what you have. That just wouldn't follow. It just, I think, makes the problem worse. Saying that there's conscious edits would be saying that Muhammad is actually purposely creating the Islamic dilemma, you know? And so...
Oh, that's good. That's a good way of putting it, guys. This conscious edit story is another way, is saying that Muhammad or Allah intentionally made the Islamic dilemma. In other words, he said, I'm confirming, and yet I'm rejecting all kinds of things and correcting them. Okay, so it was just a matter of time before someone was going to put this together and say, wait, just says confirm, and yet contradicts over and over again. So, well, I have to say, thanks, Muhammad, for giving us this. If that was your intention, thank you. You were basically saying, hey, I want this religion to last for about 14 centuries, causing nothing but pain, death, and bloodshed, and that'll be enough. Then we'll give everyone the tools they need to wreck this.
And so this is like Muslims, when they actually say conscious edits, they're agreeing with the Islamic dilemma. They're saying that the Quran is contradicting the Bible. So they're helping you out in a way because they're already granting one of the major problems with what the Quran is doing, which is affirming. And then if you want to call it editing or what, you're really saying it's contradicting the Bible. That's what you're really saying. And that's one of the points that we're making, is that the Bible does contradict the Quran. The Quran does contradict the Bible. And that's part of the dilemma. So thank you for granting that.
I mean, if you think about it, I'm sorry, Chris.
No, go on, you go.
If you think about it, Muhammad spends a lot of time talking about nonsense. Surah 66 is all about him and his wives disagreeing with each other. A whole chapter. He repeats, or the source of the Quran, Allah or whoever, repeats a lot of what Moses does, certain scenes. He, take 2, repeats it again in another surah. Why didn't he take one of the repetitions of some of the stories in the Quran and just put a sentence saying, by the way, I generally confirm the Bible, just editing a few things.
So I like, I think you can actually just go with this. And I think that conscious edits is admitting that there's a secret underlying methodology that the author has employed where he makes contradictions intentionally to get you to realize that he's, editing something, right? But that's what it would mean. And I think it's good to use this when you talk to Muslims. Say, okay, so you agree, because you believe in conscious edits, you believe that the Quran intentionally or has intentional contradictions in it. Like, that's what you actually think. You think it, as a part of its design, the author wants to confirm something and contradict that thing at the same time in the same way to illustrate some kind of higher process. It's just a meaningful contradiction. It's there purposefully. And I think they have to accept that is the case. So as soon as they admit that, it's like, great, you think the Quran has contradictions in it intentionally. Like, the author meant to do that. I don't know how they get out of that other than playing semantics, I guess.
That is a good way of pointing out the issue. So on tying this into what we were talking about earlier when they tried to appeal to Gabriel Said Reynolds, and I was thinking, I do think Muhammad is hearing what people are saying, and anytime they don't line up with what he's teaching, if he really believes their scriptures line up with what he's saying and what they're saying, if Muhammad believes that the scriptures of the Jews and Christians agree with him, and yet what the Jews and Christians are saying doesn't line up with what he's saying, then he's correcting what they're saying and saying what the scriptures must actually say. And so if you say he's aware of what's in the text of the Torah and the gospel, and that he's consciously correcting what's in the text while saying nothing except that he affirms it, that would be actually deliberately creating the Islamic dilemma. So that is pretty nuts there. Muhammad deliberately and intentionally, consciously created the Islamic dilemma so that we could destroy Islam. That is good to know. Good. You got one thing right. Yes.
You have verses where, it points to the previous scriptures as like the standard of truth on how you can know that the Quran is getting some of these stories correct. Chapter 10, verse 94, it says, if you're in doubt, then go and ask those who've been reading the scripture before you. Truly, the truth is coming to you from your Lord, so be not of those who doubt. Right? Chapter 2, verse 85, it says, talking about the Jews who are going against the Torah, right? Going against what they don't like, choosing what they like. It says, do you believe in part of the scripture and reject the rest? What is the recompense of those who do so among you except disgrace in this life, and then hereafter you get a severe torment. So you're going to go to hell if you believe in part of the scripture, right? The Quran says. So this idea of partial confirmation, I don't see it in the Quran.
Okay.
What the heck is this? Look at this. It's this dude again. Muslims respect Christians and Jewish people alike. They aren't degrading Jesus because he is the Messiah in Islam, while y'all constantly degrade Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. Dude, are you trolling? Muslims respect Christians and Jewish people? Muhammad said the end will not come until you hunt Jewish people down until they're hiding behind rocks and trees, and the rocks and trees are calling out. But even if you want to go to the Hadith, the Quran. Don't be friends with Jews and Christians, Surah 5, verse 51. They're friends of each other. Surah 9, verse 30. Surah 9, verse 30 talks about the Christians calling the Messiah the Son of God, and Jews calling Ezra the Son of God. And then it calls for our destruction. And how's this going to happen? Verse before it, fight those who do not believe in Allah, and specifically identifies Jews and Christians as people who have to be violently subjugated. So, yeah, dude.
I don't know how this didn't come up yet. We missed this. We missed this in the introductions. But Muslims respect.
Hang on. That was in war times. Oh, it's just in war times that Christians said that Jesus is the Son of God, and the Quran calls for their destruction. That was just in war times, dude. You got to go, man. We don't have time for this. Sorry, man. You can only say so many really dumb things before I get annoyed.
Yeah, the previous comment was that that Muslims respect Jews and Christians alike. Well, we missed this in the introductions, but Atachi here glorifies ISIS and the martyrdom of the 21 martyrs of Libya. And that is an example of Muslims loving Christians. And you have Muslims right here, wearing this, samurai costume, who glorifies the actions of ISIS and, chants the martyrdom of the 21. So, yeah, that's an example of the love of Muslims. There you go.
And they get it from Muhammad. Sahih Muslim 1767, he said, I will expel the Jews and Christians from the Arabian Peninsula and will not leave any but Muslim. In these times, we call this ethnic cleansing, which means that, you find a certain group of people and you cleanse the land from them. So it's a war crime. He said he will do it to everyone, not just anyone in war, all Jews and Christians. Yep. And truly, by the end of his life, Jews and Christians have had been out of the Arabian Peninsula either by war or by fleeing him. So I don't know where that love is.
But DOC, if you only knew the Arabic, you would know that the Arabic word for expel means hug and embrace.
He wanted to hug all the Jews and Christians until they left.
Yes, of course.
Or were killed during it.
All right. Someone mentioned Karate Kid. I was thinking that does look like just a regular karate gi there.
Yeah, I think a bigger issue that we have to focus on first is because obviously the prompt is the Quranic final revelation, is what a criteria for revelation would look like irrespective of what we would take an interpretation of a particular verse to be. Because if we're going to sit here and argue about particular interpretations, and this scholar says this, but this one says that about a particular verse, it's not really going to get anywhere. But if we get established some sort of fundamental basis as to what a particular revelation looks like from God, or from specifically the Abrahamic God, as we're going to be discussing between the Bible and the Quran, I think it's going to be a lot more, of a fruitful discussion. But I mean, obviously at the same time, when it comes to the Islamic dilemma.
What she's saying is disregard all the scholars. And she's basically implying that, you guys can find scholars that support your view. We can find scholars that support some of what we're saying. So there's going to be this contradiction of scholars. So instead, we'll throw out the scholars, even though Islam is built on the back of scholars, those who are given the knowledge. That's one of the authorities of Islam. But she's like, no, we're just going to make up our own criteria, and we're just going to go with it. And I get to make up what a revelation is and my own standard. And then we go by my definition. So forget about the scholars, forget about the scholarship. Just go by my definition.
But it's weird because the Christian side was saying, verse this, Quran, verse this, Quran, verse this. The Muslim side says, Gabriel, what's his name? Reynolds. And then she says, oh, don't go to this verse and that. When a Muslim says that, that means don't embarrass me with my own Quran. I can't believe the disrespect that Muslims say don't go to this verse and that, from which is their own book. They are happy to go to verses when it suits them, but if we have verses that actually prove an argument, oh, don't go to this verse and that. And another thing, if she's talking about what are she says the criteria for revelation, the Quran says it. Surah 4 verse 82, that you should not find much contradiction in it. Mm-hmm. That's how we know something is from God. That's according to the Quran itself. I'm not even going the Bible there. And the Islamic dilemma is about much contradictions.
Mm-hmm. Intentional contradictions.
Yes,
I know.
Conscious contradictions.
According to their position, Allah is consciously contradicting himself and consciously editing it without telling anyone about it.
Consciously made the Islamic dilemma. I've pointed this out before, but guys, here we are like a year and a half into the Islamic dilemma becoming really popular. I just want everyone to notice here again, if there were a single verse anywhere in the Quran that said the previous scriptures were corrupted, don't you think they'd bring that up as the response every single time? Don't you think that would be the response? Instead, it's, well, Gabriel Said Reynolds this.
Their own criterion.
Yeah, and we'll make our own criteria. Okay, everything you say is an admission at this point that you guys there's nothing in the Quran that refutes the Islamic dilemma. And that's important because people are learning the argument and they learn some verses and stuff, but sometimes they're wondering, well, maybe there are other verses in the Quran that say something different. Or what you saw from Muslims for a long time was, even though you bring up this and this and this, that verse, they're still thinking in their heads, oh, but there are probably all these other verses in the Quran that say the previous scriptures have been corrupted. And I think I hope we're getting to the point where Muslims are starting to realize, because your debaters know it, but I hope regular Muslims are starting to realize, I notice they don't bring up actual verses from the Quran in response to the Islamic dilemma. Maybe that's because there are none.
Yeah. Chris, you have like a part of your book that talks about the history of the Islamic dilemma, right? And like people talk about this a lot. They say, like, what's the history of the Islamic dilemma? Like, you guys just make it up or something? Well, now, we know Allah is actually the author of the Islamic dilemma.
Do another book.
You're going to make a second edition.
Restart the book. Say Allah meant it all along. I'm sorry.
The Islamic dilemma.
That could be the title of the book. Allah's conscious edits.
Can you put a chapter in there? Say, because I don't understand this. If Allah's consciously editing it and the Quran is the new good edit, then why does he tell people in Surah 10, verse 94, if they have doubt, to go to the previous, not to the one he's editing now?
Oh.
Can you do a chapter on that? Because I really don't know the answer to that.
You know what? I don't think I know the answer to that. I don't think anyone but Allah knows why he chose to do this very strange form of confirmation. It's definitely a confirmation.
So, on the history of the Islamic dilemma, the history of the Islamic dilemma should start with Allah deliberately creating the Islamic dilemma and just waiting for the time when everyone would learn it. Bam.
Yep.
All right.
I think when it comes to this particular discussion.
By the way, I don't think anyone on the other side is going to go for this. Let's not talk about the Islamic dilemma and this verse or that verse. Let's talk about criteria. But let's see what they say.
What a stupid thing to say.
Like I said, there are many different scholarly opinions, and those things can be taken out of context. They can be twisted into different ways, etc. But at the end of the day, if we agree that there is a majority opinion from the scholars who, from the beginning of Islam, took a position or held to a position where there was going to be a general confirmation in the sense where for example, you have Ibn Abbas and others.
That's not a consensus.
Where's that consensus?
You don't have any there's zero scholars that say general confirmation. What is she talking about? There's zero scholars that say general confirmation.
No, there's a majority. There's a consensus on this from the earlier scholars.
Why?
Source, trust me, bro.
Yeah, just trust Itachi, whatever her name is, and and then ignore what she's gonna say because she's like, I don't want to talk about this. I just want to make my own criteria.
Notice that she doesn't mention one name of scholar.
No.
We have Qurtubi, we have Tabari. Guess what their consensus was? The Quran confirms the previous scriptures that were in the hands of the people at the time.
Well,
and we can show evidence for that. Surah 2 verse
crazy thing is, if every single Muslim scholar ever said, nope, what the Quran is really saying is your book has been corrupted, I would still be going, where? Give me the freaking verses, guys. Give me the verses. But yeah, she's sitting there. No, and if they've reached a consensus, what planet do you live on, Itachi?
Individuals who say things such as the Quran is a criteria over them. He says that the Bible and the Torah were corrupted. He says to the people, the Muslims specifically, he says, why is it that you read what they have when you have that which is already not corrupted, and it is clear, it is undistorted, and it is given to you by the Prophet, peace be upon him, and they don't read your scriptures.
What does Ibn Abbas say about the prior scriptures in the Hadith, though?
Yeah, he specifically says it's corrupted.
What's
and
the
distorted.
What? Oh, good.
He says,
huh?
Yeah, I know, because this is we've had to solve this dilemma for the Muslims. It has to do with the Arabic, so I'm glad that's why IP is asking her specifically what does the Arabic say here? Because
the Ibn Abbas dilemma.
Because you either have Ibn Abbas contradicting himself. This is the dilemma, right? I guess
or consciously editing himself.
Yeah, he's consciously editing himself. Yeah, right. So I don't know if it's a formal dilemma, but we've helped Muslims solve this. Yeah. And there have been Muslims who actually adopted this interpretation because, like, what's that guy? The Yemeni guy. He took
Yemenite.
Yeah, Yemenite. Yeah. So there are Muslims who have adopted this.
Yemenite adopted my solving of it.
Remember, we had to read it for him.
Oh yeah.
We had to read it for him.
Yeah, he said that basically we were replaced.
Yeah,
replaced by another book.
Yeah, not corrupted. Replaced.
Like one book for another.
Yeah. So that's what the hadith is actually saying, not what she said. And yeah, she did say Bible and Torah. You can tell she's nervous though. She's nervous.
Okay, I'll leave that one. I won't be too harsh.
Yeah.
All right, let's see.
Until she gets to the Arabic,
well, the thing is that the same Arabic word shows up in Surah 16:101 when Allah is talking about abrogation.
Ooh.
So that means corruption.
What is the word in Arabic?
What is it? I think I'm probably going to butcher it, but it's like bid'allah, something like that.
Tabdil.
So I don't know the exact, but it's the same word in 1601 is my point, though. So that's important because he's talking about abrogating. So if that word means that we've corrupted our scriptures, then Allah is saying that the Quran has been corrupted because when he changes something, it's because he's corrupting something.
Right.
And this DOC is what you were pointing out. This is a long time ago, like last year, when you were saying it should be like something like exchanged.
Exchange or replace.
Yeah, exactly.
Replace. Good job, IP.
Yeah,
good job.
He prepared for this one.
IP's Arabic is better, man.
I wish I had Mohammed Hijab on my soundboard going, good boy. 'Cause you did a good job,
IP.
buddy.
Yeah.
IP.
Nice one, man.
Very
so,
good.
so we, Jai is just getting some of the verses. The word is baddala. Baddala means to replace.
Yeah, so
and we have a lot of this word baddala in the Quran. For example, we substitute. There's a verse. I'm just finding it
right here. Yeah, this is
بدلوا كتاب Allah. Like for example, this Surah 16 verse 101.
That's one he referenced, right? Yeah.
It says وَإِذْ بَدَّلْنَا آيَةً مَكَانَ آيَةٍ.
Yep.
we substitute a verse in place of a verse.
Yeah.
He used the word badala. So Allah is being very clear what badala means. You take something out, you put something in.
Yep. Replace it.
Replace.
Yeah. Substitute, replace.
That's what Ibn Abbas was saying.
Yeah.
بدلوا كتاب الله وغيروه. بدلوا, exchanged, replaced, substituted Allah's book.
Yep.
And so
For something that's different from it.
Yeah, guys, so they said they wanted to translate that as corrupted.
That's not.
So if that means corrupted, guys, so you could just grant it. If that means corrupted, then when Allah abrogates a verse of the Quran, he was corrupting the Quran.
Exactly. Yep.
So where you want to go? If you want to say corrupt, Allah is corrupting the Quran. If you want to say exchange, which is actually what it means, because the verse actually is obvious about it. It says in place of.
Yep.
Then that means the Jews and Christians, their only crime was that they took the book off the shelf, put something else in it. And Jai and even other scholars were probably thinking of it, the Talmud.
The Talmud, yeah, we've seen a lot of it's referring to like the Talmud or we've even seen modern scholars, like past 100 years or so, scholars talking about this, and they say things like it's like these modern sects, like these Sufi groups who have like their own prayer books, and they say this is better than like the Quran or something like that. Right. And so he's saying they're doing the same thing. They're exchanging they're substituting the book of Allah with that. It doesn't mean that they corrupted the Quran. No. They're just saying that what they have, the substitution is better than the Quran. Or
so if the Jews were using the Talmud in their legal rulings and judgments instead of the Torah, then I guess that accusation stands.
Yeah.
They weren't using the book of God, they were using another book. But that doesn't mean the book of God is corrupted.
Someone said, why are you using Arabic writing on your wall?
Why do you have Arabic writing on your wall if you're a Christian? Don't you know that Arabic can only be used by Muslims? It is the Muslim language.
If you go to Acts chapter 2, before Islam ever existed,
you'll Arabs see, on the day of Pentecost.
Yeah, exactly.
Christians were speaking Arabic before Islam ever existed,
and they still speak it. Well, after Islam, Christians, there are Arab Christians.
Yeah, there are literally tribes like the tribes of Arabs that are Christian tribes. Arabic is not a religion; it's just a language.
So if you look at that, the most literal understanding is that they substituted the Book of Allah, not that it's been corrupted.
Right, so I want to work backwards with 1094 to 85, specifically regarding the objection they gave. I don't believe it addressed the substance of content.
Did you just skip the Tabdil point?
Skip the Ibn Abbas dilemma completely.
Oh man, now he's going back to 1094. IP just laid out the point, and I guess, maybe he's going to respond to it, because he did say he's working backwards, which sounds like something Allah would do. But maybe we'll save the applause until that happens.
Okay.
But
he didn't even give like an okay perfect,
Yeah, I know. He just
summary. We didn't even get a beautiful, man.
It wasn't even beautiful.
You know what? That is the same word. Oh man. Well.
Yeah. Let me get back to 285 and the rest.
By the way, Giant DOC, that would be a pretty easy video to make. Muslims prove that Allah corrupted the Quran.
Yes.
And then just here's what they say the word means. Here's what the word actually means, and here's how it's used in Surah 16, verse 101. Yep. And therefore, Allah corrupted the Quran himself.
Yep.
Specifically,
we already got all the material for it.
And which you posit to be
Muhammad.
Beautiful. Let's go with that. The author of the Quran purposefully goes against the previous scriptures. Would you agree that in that case, he specifically doesn't believe that it's revelation if he purposefully, knowingly changes revelation, right?
Yeah, no, I don't think he's going against the scriptures.
I just wanted to pause it there because we were talking about this earlier. My view, depending on how much of a charlatan you think Muhammad was deliberately, if he really believed, which is what I lean towards, he actually believed that he's a prophet, and he actually believed that his revelations are completely in line with the previous revelations, except for some different laws and stuff like that, so that people would remain different groups. But if he actually believes that, then whatever he's consciously editing would be what people are saying. That's the only thing he could be consciously editing, because he does nothing but confirm the scriptures. Unless you think he's just deliberately a deceiver, in which case he might invent something like the Islamic Dilemma. Let's see.
He's hearing stories and going against what he's hearing.
Oh yeah, he said
Amazing.
he's going.
So
He's hearing
you're saying that
stories.
there's an old tradition by the Jews and the Christians that he's listening to, and he doesn't believe that it's revelation or the Bible specifically.
Correct.
Right? So that wouldn't hold weight for two main reasons. The first reason is that we know that the author of the Quran is very familiar with the biblical text. I gave you the inference from Surah Al-Hadid, and I gave you also the fact that the author of the Quran parallels with stories, for example, Moses in the Exodus, of him taking out his hand, right? The Exodus account said that his hand was leprous.
That's different.
Yeah, I'm saying that there's two examples of conscious edits, right?
Okay. Yeah.
And the second example, in the Quran says that his hand was without disease. So the author of the Quran follows exactly to the T every story, part of the story, and then towards the end, he edits it. So because of that,
It doesn't
and I give you
follow.
the historical precedent, the
That
scholarship
doesn't
precedent.
follow at all. That doesn't follow at all. It's like saying, okay, and by the way, it's not perfect detail up until that point. I mean, the Quran makes a mess all over these stories. I mean, but like Chris was saying earlier, you have like the entire books of Exodus, and in the Quran, yeah, it mentions Moses a lot, but it's nothing compared to the detail in the Bible. So this doesn't follow at all. Let's just say if everything were to agree up until this point, it doesn't mean that it's a conscious edit. It could be very wrong, which is what Avery is just saying. Maybe that's what Muhammad heard. He heard it from a Jew or from a Christian. Someone told it to him, and that's how he thought the story went. I mean, that doesn't mean that that doesn't mean that he knows this is what the Bible is saying, and I'm going to actually go against what the Bible is saying, even though I'm going to say in the following verses, I'm confirming what the Bible is saying. This is nonsense. This is ad hoc, and it's complete nonsense, and it doesn't necessarily follow.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's the key point. I think it doesn't follow that. Therefore, conscious edits, right? At least, again, in the actual sense they want you to think, which is that he's re-revealing the uncorrupted original. I think here, okay, so I have a slight interesting take on this. I don't actually think that this is a contradiction. So if you read the Genesis account of the, sorry, not the Genesis account, sorry, I keep thinking of other things in my mind. But if you read the Exodus account of this, the sign that he gives, he puts his hand in, it takes it out, it's leprous. He puts his hand back in, it takes it out, it's not leprous. The Quranic account can, in my opinion, be harmonized by just saying that he's just a summary of the sign, which is that he puts his hand in, takes it out, and it's healed.
Yeah.
That to me just sounds like a summary.
Like it didn't remain. It didn't remain.
Yeah. And the very fact that the Quran explicitly uses the terms to mean without blemish tells you that it's aware that there was a blemish. So it's just summarizing the sign, which is that, he healed his hands. That's it. I mean, that's not necessarily like, I'm not saying that's definitely the case. I'm just saying from my looking at it, I think you can reconcile this anyway. So it could just be the case that he heard it from some Jews who were just summarizing the signs to him. And that's how they summarized that particular sign. And he just went with that and went, yeah, that's what they say is in their scripture. Again, Gabriel Said Reynolds and others have pointed out that the Quran author intentionally doesn't give all of the details to these stories because he assumes the Jewish and Christian audience is already familiar with the details. So he just leaves stuff out. Yeah. So I think it's better in this case, both for Muslims and Christians and non-Muslims, when we point at the contradictions, like look at the hard contradictions, not just this story has more detail and then the Quran has less, or or vice versa. But just to look for like hard contradictions. But for some reason, Muslims love bringing this one up because they feel as if the best explanation of it is that it's a conscious edit and that originally his hand never became leprous. But I think if that was the case, I don't know why the Quran says his hand came out without blemish. It seems to me as if it's just a summary of the story. But hey, that's just my take on that.
And I don't accept that the Quran is familiar with the Bible. The Quran is about 1/10 in length of the whole Bible. The Quran is not familiar with the Bible. Where are the big prophets in the Bible? Where's Daniel? Where's Jeremiah? Where's Ezekiel? Where's Isaiah in the Quran? Where in Israel history? Where's the king? The periods of the kings? Where's Samuel? Where is Judges? Where is Nehemiah and the post-exile period? Quran knows nothing about this, and these are big parts of history where God
or the entire the priesthood, like there's no concept of like a priesthood in Islam.
Where God was performing miracles amongst the people. Where's Joshua? And involved in the stories and when what's happening. And the Quran knows nothing about these periods. Just because he knows about Moses, Moses split the sea, well, big whoop, everybody knows that. Moses put his hand in. Well, these stories, like even the pagans were saying, this is just asatir al-awwaleen. These are the tales of old. Yeah. You've heard this around the campfire. What do you mean familiar with the Bible? If familiar means like intimately, I would have expected a lot more detail from Mercy to Mankind, last prophet, to be telling me about,
like, the Bible says this, and here's the truth. That's what it would...
or I'm in the Bible in this verse.
Yeah.
This previous prophet said about me, and here in that verse. That's what I expected. Not like a general, just campfire stories. That's not familiarity.
Gabriel, Saint Reynolds, where he explicitly says that the author of the Quran is familiar with the prophetology, is familiar with the account within the Bible. So how do you do with that specifically?
So, go ahead, Bill. You want to?
Yeah. So, can you quote that again? Who said this about?
Gabriel Saint Reynolds.
Okay. And when was this?
He's a contemporary scholar.
Okay, very cool. So, would you say that your scholarship throughout history has affirmed this idea of correcting the stories of the prophets?
Yes, we have, for example, Ibn Hazm, who's a classical scholar who quotes an ijma' of the early Muslims in his book Al-Fisal, where he explicitly mentions that we have heard of a group of Muslims from amongst the Muslims who did not believe in textual corruption. What this means is that the majority of Muslims would have believed in textual corruption. However, the minority position would have been that obviously...
Wait, that's not what she asked.
But it's like a different position.
Yeah.
That wasn't what she asked. She didn't ask if Muslims believe the Bible's corrupted. She's talking about correcting, conscious edits. That's what she's talking about. So you can be a Muslim and believe that the Bible's been corrupted. You don't need to believe that the Quran is consciously editing parts of the Bible or something like that. This is another... Ibn Hazm, I don't know if he's, thinking about Ibn Hazm actually, or he's talking about others, because many people have noted this, that there are groups of Muslims who held to, for example, the Bible's intact, it hasn't been corrupted, and they give arguments for that. Like they say for the Torah, they'll say, okay, if you have the Torah in all these major cities in the world, how could it be that it's corrupted in the same place in every single manuscript around the world? Like, how could that happen? How could the manuscript that's existing in like Alexandria, and then the manuscript that's existing in Rome, and the one that's in Jerusalem, and then the one in Medina, how can they all have been corrupted in the same exact place? And they make arguments like that. And so there are groups of Muslim scholars that held to that position. The other ones are not saying that there's conscious edits. They're just saying that there have crept in corruption or something like that to the Bible. Those are later scholars, though. That's later scholars. Now we're not talking about the Quran, and we're not even talking about early scholarship. We're talking about later scholars.
Multiple people said Bill cooks him and Bill getting ready to cook. So I'm guessing that's what's about to happen right now.
Let's see.
So I actually really like the point you brought up about the conscious edits. Okay, so for argument's sake, let's just say that the author of Quran is correcting the previous scripture.
Beautiful.
Okay, let's just say that specifically.
And he knows the previous scriptures.
I think it's yeah, for the sake of well, actually, I would argue that I'm not really sure what happened, but it's divine revelation, right? And so if Muhammad gets all these details correct, either way, whether he knew it or he didn't hear it, he's getting it from God. So it doesn't matter if he heard it somewhere else, right?
Yeah, but we're talking from like an outside person looking in. They're not going to grant this thing.
Oh, definitely not. But I'm saying, so like that's your guys' position.
Yeah.
Is my understanding. And so because of that, all these details, especially of the prophets, have to be correcting what's wrong in the Torah. And you said conscious, right?
Yep.
And so with that being said, that means that your claim would have to be that a Jew, went and changed the stories in the Torah.
A Jew or a group of Jews.
So was it intentional or unintentionally changed?
Yeah, so it would depend on the context, right? But
so can we bring up some examples? I'll bring up some examples and you can tell me. Okay.
Yeah,
cool.
Go ahead.
So for example, the story of, even you just brought up Moses, right? Why is one leprous, one's not? That's like a very intentional, someone changed it. Okay. Another example would be, this one actually strikes me a lot. So the story of Joseph, okay? There's many irreconcilable differences. So for example, Jacob's reaction to Joseph's quote unquote death. Right. So in the Quran, Jacob's like, I have faith by Allah, he's alive. He doesn't say that, he says it implicitly at first,
And then later on, after they're going back to Egypt, so this is years later, he's still like, no, I can smell Joseph. Go look for Joseph. Finally, when he finds out, he basically was like, I told you guys. I told you he was alive. Now, when you look at the Torah, so his reaction to the death is he goes, Joseph is without doubt torn to pieces. And then years later in Egypt, he's like, don't take Benjamin. Joseph's already dead. He was torn to pieces. Later, finally, when he sees Joseph, he's still like, or he hears about Joseph, he's like, no, I don't believe it. So this is very intentionally changed because you can't just change it in one place. You have to go and change it in like multiple other places.
Beautiful.
And so my idea is this. That's one mistake I just brought up, right?
Yeah, do you want to suggest that real quick?
Well, she's got to make a point. There's a point.
The point is that there are these intentional changes, and that's just one difference I brought up, okay?
Beautiful.
But there's actually 944 differences just...
Beautiful.
What is
I don't know if the Quran's that clear on that point. I think that the commentaries are like all over the place, like whether there was certainty or not certainty, whether he's alive or not. But yeah, okay. So let's see how he's gonna respond to this.
In the 98 verses of Surah Yusuf, of the story of Joseph in Surah Yusuf.
Okay.
And so that is kind of crazy. And so my question is, what is the motivation of a Jew changing his, even changes his age, even changes how long it takes for them to come back? Just like there's water in the well in the Torah, there's no water in the pit. I mean, there's no water in the pit in the Torah, there's water in the pit in the Quran, like super random. I don't understand if it's like, is it prophecies of Muhammad they're trying to take out? No.
Right. So what you're saying is,
okay, yeah, okay. It took me a moment to understand her argument. So she's kind of like taking it in a different direction. She's saying, okay, if the author of the Quran is correcting these things, water in there or not water in there, and so on, then the author of the Quran would be claiming this is the original revelation before it was changed. And she's pointing out, why would Jews be changing these things? Like, what's the benefit? What's the point of changing it? What's the point of changing it in these ways? In other words, if Jacob was actually confident that Joseph is going to be alive, why are you changing that to? Oh no, he's dead. Why are you changing that? Why are you changing all these details? What's the point in changing them all? And then so, hey, if you're changing something, first of all, it's just, it's pretty crazy to think that Jews who really, have like extreme reverence for the Torah, you know what? Let's just change this. There's no real reason, but let me change this. That would be pretty crazy. Like there would have to be some good reason, and she's pointing out there's no good reasons for changing all these little details here and there. So it makes it sound like these aren't things that Jews would have changed, and therefore, how did they ever get changed? Something along those lines.
And you know what? The early accusations from Muslims about corruption in the Bible was erasing Muhammad from it.
Yeah.
Not these details of the random stories about random little details within the stories. It was, they had Muhammad, wasn't it even like they had his height, they had like his weight or his skin color.
Yeah.
They had all these details, and then all of a sudden the Christians and Jews, which again goes to that other argument that I was talking about earlier. You could say it to the Torah, you could say it to the gospel as well, which is that you have Christians who now have a transmission of the Torah, Jews have a transmission of the Torah, and then you have different communities of Jews that have different transmissions of the Torah, and different communities of Christians as well that have different transmissions of the Torah in different languages. And then you have, for the New Testament, your same thing going on with Christians. You have different communities of Christians, and the idea that they somehow all colluded on these points in all the different languages and all the different communities. It's like, okay, let's just say that there's an authority for all Christians, like the Muslim Constantine, not the Muslim, but the non, the kind of the idea that Muslims say what happened at Nicaea, like what Constantine did. Like, imagine there actually was this figure that could have control over everything Christians had in their possession. Well, that doesn't say anything about the Jews. So why would they have colluded on these points? So let's say you get all the Christians in the world to agree, okay, guys, we're going to change the age of this person from this to this. And we're going to change
make sure there's no water in the well. That's very important.
Make sure there's no water in the well. Everyone do this. And then how do you get the Jews to agree? And then you also have the Samaritans as well, right? So you have all these different communities who have transmissions of the Torah and transmissions of the New Testament, et cetera, for the Christians. And it's just, and you have you even have like Christian heretics as well, like like Arians and things like that, like the Gothics. They didn't even corrupt the gospel. Like they didn't even corrupt the gospel according to John. Like you expect them to corrupt that because that debunks their theology. But no, you go to the Gothic Bible and you see that it's still the same as it is in Greek and the other languages. And so you don't see like a mass leader that goes around commanding Christians in every single community, in every single language to corrupt the Bible in this particular way. And then the Jews as well. You don't have a single authority that goes around and controls and says, this is what you guys have to corrupt. So yeah, this is actually, it just kind of makes their position look even more ridiculous.
Is it theological? Is it ethics?
You're saying that if there's no motivation, that we can assume that the text is safe.
So my argument would just be Occam's razor. It's just the most simple argument, right?
Oh, boom! Gosh, I was wondering. Okay, what sort of principle are you going to use to defend that? Occam's razor. Okay, guys. So Occam's razor in this situation is, however many. Let's say there are 1,000 differences between the Quran stories of what's supposedly in the Bible of what the Bible is. Differences between what the Quran is saying and what the Bible is saying in these stories. Let's suppose there are 1,000 differences, and let's suppose that for 900 of those differences, you can't think of any reason. Maybe 100 of them you think of a reason for saying, okay, maybe they changed it because they were trying to do this, or maybe they could change it because of that, or something like that. But like vast majority of them are like, why would anyone change that? Why would a Jew at some point, scribe or something like that, say, you know what, instead of saying this, let's say this, and you can't think of any reason to do it. Now, that's already insane. As has been pointed out, somehow this would have to work its way into copies or all over the place, which doesn't make any sense. But suppose you want to just leave all that aside and say, okay, I have 900 places where it makes no sense that someone would have deliberately altered the text on these details. It doesn't make any sense to change these details. Okay, you have a very, very complicated hypothesis, meaning someone had to change this, and there's some hypothetical reason that we can't think of. And someone would have had to change this, and someone would have had to change this, and someone would have had to change this. You've got this very complicated web of possibilities over here. And then over here, you've got, okay, the author of the Quran just wasn't terribly familiar with these stories because he's just going on what people are saying about them. Okay, that's very easy and simple. That's a very simple hypothesis versus a very complicated hypothesis. So that's where she's going with Occam's razor. You have this insanely complex hypothesis about all these imaginary people making all these changes for no reason versus the author of the Quran just didn't know a whole lot about the details in these stories.
Yep.
Pretty easy.
If it doesn't make sense and there's it's an argument from pointlessness. Yeah.
Pointlessness. Argument from pointlessness. There.
The issue with that is going to be if we don't have any evidence, right, to suggest that there was some sort of corruption or some sort of change, historically speaking, right, then it would be the case that we could say, we could use Occam's razor, come to the simplistic understanding, given on the idea that we don't have any evidence, okay? However, even according to the Jewish traditions, we have individuals such as what they believe during the 5th century BCE. They believe Ibn Ezra, right, or individuals, not Ibn Ezra specifically, Ezra, the priest or the rabbi, he specifically was the one who recollected the entirety of the Torah for them, or the entirety.
They believed in Ezra so much that they called him the Son of God.
They had until then of the Old Testament specifically. And he was the one who did it alone. So this is something according to their traditions.
Do you accept this source?
I don't need to accept this source.
So I don't either.
Hold on. Yeah. The point is that I'm showing is that there is certain things that occur historically where we could use them as some sort of evidence to negate the proposition.
Do you know when this was written? Sorry to interrupt you. I'm sorry.
Yeah, so it could, I'm not sure when specifically it's written. It comes within their oral tradition, though.
So this is post-Jesus. This is way
She wasn't referring to 4th Ezra. I know you're referring to that, but she wasn't referring to that.
Yeah,
She's referring to the Torah itself, like in 2 Kings 22 and 25. Like in 2 Kings 22, when it says that King Josiah found the book of the law, he found Deuteronomy, it lost it. And then later in 2 Kings 25, it says that when King Nebuchadnezzar came and destroyed the temple, he burned down everything. Everything was lost. And that's how we see Ezra and Nehemiah 8. When Ezra's reading the Torah,
the Levites at the time, they have to interpret these laws for the people because they're not familiar with it. And that's how we see in verse 16 to 17 that they quote a law that hasn't been done since the time of Joshua. But I've heard you believe in documentary hypothesis. You don't think that the Pentateuch that we have, you don't.
No.
You don't think
documentary
you think the Pentateuch that we have is the one from Moses wrote?
This is a shift. Let's
well, it's not a shift. Because he's asking how is it intentional and unintentional.
So I can. I reject just real quick. I reject the documentary hypothesis.
So you think the Pentateuch was written by Moses?
So I can address that.
What in the name of common sense does this have to do with the Islamic dilemma?
Yeah. The first time this guy comes and steps in, first of all the verses, none of the verses say that the Torah has been corrupted. So none of those even address the point at all. He just gave a slew of passages, or really like 3, where that are saying that the Torah, or like even if you're gonna go, what do you want to go with their narrative? They're not even saying that the Torah has been corrupted.
It's been lost.
They're not even saying
according
that.
to them.
So how does that address any of the points that that Bell made? It doesn't address any of the points that she made.
Kings and Nehemiah is before Jesus. Jesus comes and confirms the Torah, according to both of our religions, actually. Yeah. So if you want to say that the Torah was burnt up or lost before Jesus came, so what was he confirming when he came and said, I confirm the law, which is the Torah, according to our gospel.
Fulfilling it, and then for them it's
and according to their Quran, he says, I confirm what is between my hands in front of me of the Torah. Mm-hmm. So how was it lost and or corrupted?
Yeah, it seems like this dude's just trying to go on a tangent to get away from the Islamic dilemma. I don't know. But, I mean, what you would expect, everyone, what you would expect if Muslims could actually answer this argument would be, again, oh, you're bringing up the Islamic dilemma? Here are the Quran passages that show that the Bible's been corrupted. Doesn't happen. Weird.
But first, I want to finish this.
Hey guys, quick break from the show. If you're someone that actually enjoys these videos and you watch them regularly, or you want to make sure that you don't miss the big videos that we have coming up, make sure to subscribe to this channel. It's actually surprising. A lot of people think that they're subscribed to this channel already, and they're not. Or maybe they were subscribed before and then they randomly get unsubscribed. So please.
I normally consciously edit out these sorts of things, but left this one in.
Take 1 second right now and go subscribe to this channel.
There is the link to the full debate in the description that you can click on later.
Helps myself and the team stay motivated to make the best Christian conversations online. So please subscribe right now. Also, whether you're Catholic, Muslim, Orthodox, any denomination, if you want to appear in the videos that we have coming up, there's a link in the description of this video that you could fill out. My team will reach out to you and see if you're going to be a good fit to be on the show. We want to get more and more videos out, so we need more people to appear in the videos. So also, please become a member. It helps us.
Now you're taking too long, dude.
More
come on, dude.
I was being nice. I was going to let you say it. Okay, here we go.
It was
Catholic,
changed.
Orthodox.
But then that would be an accidental change. That would be them unintentionally trying to put it together and they get it wrong. Yeah. Does that make sense? So I'm trying to look for the intentional changes that are in the Quran, in the Torah. So I'll just give one example. Okay.
Do you want to just finish up with
Let's deal with this one. I want to hear their response.
Yeah, you're right.
Because I don't know why you're saying that it has to be specifically intentional. There could also be things which are done unintentionally, such as, for example, the reason why this even occurs, by the way, in the 5th century BCE is because of the Babylonian exile. I think, like you said, Nebuchadnezzar, he's the one who goes, he burns all the Torahs, etc., and the one who recollects it for them again is this individual named Ezra. Whether you accept or reject the tradition, that's different, right? What I'm saying is that you appeal to Occam's razor. You're saying that we have to go with the more simplistic understanding. However, the only, understanding that we could gather based off of the evidences, at least from that time period, is going to be that this is the tradition that they held to, unless we have some sort of 5th century Torah or 5th century Pentateuch or anything of the sort that you could have.
That's not Jewish tradition. One of the principles of faith is that the Torah has not corrupted. It's intact. That's one of Maimonides. He came up with 13 principles of faith. One of the principles is specifically about the Torah not being corrupt. She's making it sound like the Jewish tradition is saying that the Torah was corrupted, and then it had to come back, through Ezra. And Ezra, he corrupt. I don't even know what she's saying. Obviously, she has no idea what she's talking about, but she's spinning a narrative or spinning a tale based off of a tradition that doesn't say what she's saying it says.
But even if the changes were accidental, wouldn't that just be one scribe somewhere accidentally changing it? But it's in every book of the Torah. Then he would have had to email everyone that has the Torah all over the world. I accidentally changed this verse to say that there is no water in the well. Can you please all do the same so it all matches all over the world?
Yeah, they never explain the because the normal way they want to say that that this was talking that the Quran's talking about corruption is that Jews in Medina were changing the text, and it's like, okay, how did that get to everyone else? How would that change get to Christians get to Jews in Egypt or to Jews in Southern Europe or something like that? How is that getting out? You need email or something like that. But besides that, Christians also had the Torah during this time, so that's the issue. We've brought it up. How does this change that someone's making get everywhere in all the different copies? You need some mechanism, and the only mechanism you have would be a miracle. It would require a miracle. It would require someone in Medina making a change, and it somehow miraculously changes all the other copies in the world, and not just the copies that people still have, but copies that are buried in a cave or something like that. So,
yeah. Also, according to the same tradition that she's appealing to, this is part of the oral tradition, right? Which means that according to the Jews, none of the stuff was lost anyway. Just because it wasn't written down doesn't mean it was lost or corrupted. It was something that they had committed to memory. It's imagine, they don't like. So she's appealing to something that's saying this got to us through all of this, losing of the Torah and, having to be rewritten and things. But we kept this tradition that's telling us this through all of that. It's like, this is the whole idea here, that there's oral tradition, and it doesn't matter if in their view, if it's written down or if it's committed to memory. The fact is that they still had it. Now, what they're trying to do is they're trying to make sense of it themselves, and they say, they're trying to go to the Bible and interpret it and see if it makes sense in light of that. But that's not what the Jewish tradition is saying. It's not going by their interpretation of what the Torah says and whether it makes sense to them or not. If you're appealing to tradition, you need to, go with it. Like they always say to us, if you're making an internal critique, they need to learn what an internal critique actually is. And it's not just you take part of it and then you twist it to your own narrative. Like when we go to their what the Quran says, we can also stick within what their scholars say about those verses that we're talking about.
Yeah, we don't put our own thing on it.
Yeah.
We go see what their scholar says, what the tradition says.
Yeah.
But they want everybody across history to have colluded to make even accidental mistakes. But the Quran didn't make a mistake.
Yeah, I like that.
Which is in one place, in one era.
Yeah.
There you have
the sister of Aaron conscious edit. Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah. So, you'd have to say that's another direction to go in. Just point out the things that the Quran obviously gets completely wrong because he didn't understand things. But yeah, you'd have to say that the author of the Quran was consciously editing the idea that Mary, the mother of Jesus, and Miriam, the sister of Aaron, and Moses were, 1,400 years apart. Allah had to fix that.
Appeal to, and then by which obviously the appeal is going to be a little bit different. The evidence is going to be different. It would be skewed towards your favor in terms of outcomes.
Okay, so let me understand your argument real quick. So let's just, for argument's sake, let's just say in the when would you say the last perfectly preserved Torah was then? If you had to go with this argument, what
do you mean? No, I'm not saying perfectly preserved. So
Torah.
Let's just say,
I like this. She's gonna say, when was the last, real authentic Torah, preserved authentic Torah? Whatever date you give, you get problems because someone confirmed it after that. Jesus confirmed it. Muhammad confirmed. So when is this Torah being corrupted here?
And by the way, this throws them off their script. You can tell she's thrown off her script. That's why she's already, what do you mean? What do you mean? You just made a statement. Yeah. Let's see what your view is. Well, what do you mean? This takes them off the script. They memorize a certain script, and when someone like Belle is coming and questioning them that's off the script, then they discombobulate. And let's see how she tries to handle this one.
Discombobulate.
Let me just make sure. Okay. What I'm saying is, if we're saying that there's a specific Torah in the 5th century BCE, and it has XYZ detailed information.
Correct or incorrect?
Okay. Whether it's correct or incorrect, it's what it is
matters.
specifically
Yeah,
that
it does
goes,
matter.
Sorry, one sec. Whether it goes against or for what the Quran.
It does matter, because if it's not intact and it's been corrupted, then you got problems with things that the Quran says about times after that.
Narrative is saying.
Yes.
Okay, what I'm saying is that your story, right, is that this Pentateuch that we have today, or this specific story in Genesis of Joseph, right, it has a particular narrative that goes against the Quranic narrative. Okay,
Clear.
right, that's what you believe, right. However, what I'm saying is that we don't have any evidence to suggest, right, that this story is the same as what would have been there prior to 5th century BCE.
Okay, very good.
Okay,
Thank
go
you.
ahead.
So it would, if there was a correct Torah with all these details, also I only brought up Joseph, there are thousands of contradictions in all the stories of the prophets.
Right.
So let's just say there was a Torah at a point in time with all those correct stories, right? Those stories that said that, for example, the Quran says there's 7 plagues. Every Torah, every corroboration of Torah says there's 10. Everyone knows this.
The Quran says 9.
So define plague, because plague is inflicted, right?
Okay.
Only 7 were inflicted upon Pharaoh. The
Right.
2 other signs, like the hand and the snake, that's not a plague.
Okay.
That's why it's 7.
Okay.
So, so that's like huge, right? So at a certain point in time, there was a Torah that said there were 7 plagues. Okay, somewhere. And that would have been, first of all, that's already a really, really crazy claim. Fine. Because the Passover influences all of Jewish history. You have the Feast of Unleavened Bread. You have the firstborn, death of the firstborn. You have the redemption of the firstborns. You have so many other things, okay? And so...
This would be the point. By the way, she's burning these guys up right now, correcting them on their own book and stuff like that. But right here, going to this story, right? The plagues, the plagues, the Passover, the Exodus, all this stuff. This is absolutely foundational. And it would be similar to what Muslims believe about their own preservation of the Quran. It's like, okay, in these especially in the areas where they're constantly reciting things over and over again, like Surat Al-Fatiha and so on. I mean, you end up with a variant even there, but if you have tons of people and this is really important to them, how are you going to get massive change of things? How exactly would that work? And so if it's some not terribly important story in the Jewish sources, and you say someone got that wrong or someone changed that or something like that, okay, that would be one thing. But the stuff that's just absolutely foundational and gets told and retold over and over again every single year as a huge event and so on, you're going to need some sort of at least working hypothesis about how those things changed, and the Quran is coming along to correct those mistakes that were made. How were those mistakes made? It's interesting. Most people don't go in the direction that Bell's going here, but it's an interesting direction to go in.
You would have to have written all of these in. On accident? Absolutely not. It was intentional. So they would have to add in the Passover lamb. They have to add in the Feast of Unleavened Bread. They would also have to change the fact that in the Quran, they were running away at night. And they changed it to be like Pharaoh's telling them, leave right now because my firstborn son just died. So they added all these things. In my head, I don't understand why they added it. But okay, let's just say from the 1400s, Moses, to the 5th century, okay?
BC, yeah. Okay,
so that would be thousands and thousands of irreconcilable differences. Corruption. You can agree with that. So, or until the 250s BC, which is where the Dead Sea Scrolls come in. But suddenly, from 1400s to 250 BC and onwards, the corruption stops. It just stops. Maybe there's Scrabble errors here, maybe there's some fragments, we lost some things, but the actual irreconcilable contradictions of the prophets, it just stops. So that's your argument. That from 1400s to 250 BC, thousands of contradictions, suddenly 250 BC comes along, and then from 250 BC to 2026 today, it's just, they're not contradicting in the same way, and the corruption stops. So that's your argument, is my understanding.
Okay, but that's not even correct to even say that to begin with, because we know that we have the Masoretic, for example, that comes later on, and it still contradicts Dead Sea Scrolls, Greek Septuagint.
In the same way that the Quran's version of the Torah?
The whole point is that there are still contradictions. Like, for example, in the Greek Septuagint, we know that it contradicts, or I would rather say that there is more of a difference in regards to the I am narrative that's in Exodus 3, where one would be suggested towards the idea that, obviously in the Hebrew, it says, I am that I am, go tell them that I am has sent you. But when you go to the Greek, it says, tell them that the one being has sent you.
Right. Even if I
that's not a contradiction.
I'm not.
That's not a contradiction. I mean, this is something that's known too, by the way. But this is another just like, oh, let's hopefully they follow me here. It's just a red herring. It's just, off topic. She's talking about Exodus 3:14 and how it's rendered in the Hebrew versus how it's rendered in the Greek. And by the way, that's not even the only place you go to talk about the I am statements. You primarily go to like Isaiah for that. Anywho, I am all over Isaiah, and then you connect that to what Jesus is saying. Before Abraham was, I am, and you see the connection there. The Septuagint and the Greek there of the New Testament are identical. So this is not a contradiction either. There's no contradiction between the two renditions either.
But how is that an answer to the thousands of potential contradictions across thousands of years of history that have now all of a sudden stopped since the 2nd century before Jesus? Like, that's not an answer.
Yeah, because the Muslims they're not even saying, it's like I mean, some of these would be contradictions. Like whether the well is full or not. These are contradictions. So you can actually have one or the other. But there could potentially be other ones where it's like, this is just added details or things that aren't said. But she's specifically talking about the contradictions. What then for what's her name? Itachi's response for Exodus 3:14 in the Septuagint versus the Hebrew, that's not a contradiction at all.
Talking about a theological thing. Like, if there's a theological change, I can be like, okay, I can see why maybe someone did that because they have theological motive.
Changes.
Right. So intentional changes, but with no theological, prophetic, political, or ethical motive at all.
Okay,
because there's thousands of these.
She's saying that these changes can't be unintentional.
Yeah,
they're on purpose, but also they don't have any motive.
No reason.
Right. So what would be the reason for these details?
The thing is, this argument is going to be like mainly abductive. Right, so it's working based on two hypotheses. You're saying that, look, we have this case where we have these changes, but seemingly there is no motivation behind the changes, and therefore we can assume that there was no reason to change it, and therefore it was reliable. Therefore, the Quranic account would be wrong. That's the stillman of the argument you guys are saying. The only issue is just because we're not able to, we don't have epistemic access to the sort of motivation, doesn't mean that it doesn't exist. I'll give you an example. When it comes to historicity, there's an example known as the principle of embarrassment. Right? So we're looking at a text. If there's something that's seemingly embarrassing that's in the text, the author would have intended by the author, we can assume that it's not corrupted. Thing is, within the scholarship, they don't take the principle of embarrassment by itself to be feasible. Why? Because we don't know what would have been embarrassing at that time to be able to determine whether or not the author would have been embarrassed to include it or not.
That's good, yeah.
With the example that you have, just because
I'm trying to be charitable and understanding what the heck he's saying. Principle of embarrassment is very important, but it's not decisive because. So, guys, principle of embarrassment is if someone's reporting something that's embarrassing to their cause, you would kind of assume that it's true because there wouldn't be a reason to include this embarrassing material unless it's just they knew it was true. So the satanic verses. Why would someone invent the story of the satanic verses, which was very embarrassing in Islam for the first couple centuries? And so what where you have to be concerned about it is you don't always know how different people were at certain times, and maybe certain things that weren't embarrassing to them would be embarrassing to us. So maybe you say, okay, why is Muhammad walking around with semen all over his clothes? Well, maybe that wasn't. Maybe that was Robert Spencer pointed. Maybe that was like a sign of your virility or amazing virility or something like that back then. So we would be embarrassed with semen all over our clothes, but maybe for them it was like, wow, what a strong, manly man. He just skeets all over himself all the time. That's how manly he is. Or he has other people doing it, right? So that's the idea here, and he's pointing out. Okay, it's a principle, guys. It's a principle. It's something that would make you trust something more. But yeah, definitely not conclusive. Trying to figure out where, as far as applying that to what's being said here, I think what he's saying is, hey, just because you're looking at these thousands of differences and you can't see any reason, you can't really know that someone back then didn't have a reason, right? Maybe it's a reason that you can't even understand right now because you're in such a different culture. So maybe it's like that, like applying the principle of embarrassment. Well, maybe it wasn't embarrassing back then and we just don't know because we don't think like them anymore. Well, maybe all these differences that you're talking about that you don't think people would have made these changes. Maybe they did have good reasons to change them. We just have no clue what they are anymore. But guys, notice, if you're talking about thousands and thousands of changes, I mean, again, Occam's razor. Isn't it simpler to conclude that the author of the Quran just didn't know a whole lot about what he was talking about, didn't know enough to get all the details right? Versus now you need thousands of just assumed reasons, right? It's okay. This guy had some reason. This other guy had made this change. He had some reason. We don't know what it was. Again, there's a very complicated hypothesis, like unimaginably complicated hypothesis. I don't even know how to begin to establish the probability of something like that. But I do know way simpler to say, hey, the author of the Quran didn't know what he's talking about.
But that assumes that there are differences between like each Torah. Like let's say Torah is hundreds of years apart. One has water in the well, the other doesn't have water in the well. Then I'll understand.
Yeah, that's the other thing and there's no evidence of the changes. Yeah. There's no evidence that it changed from this to this. You're just assuming that at some point it was changed, and now all of them have the change, and maybe there was a reason for changing it that we just didn't know. Their hypothesis is getting increasingly complex versus the extremely simple one of your prophet didn't know what he was talking about.
And like DOC pointed out earlier, and what we were saying is that we know what the Torah looked like in the 1st century. We know what the Torah looked like in the 7th century. And guess what? The Quran says that Jesus confirmed it, and in the first, well, it doesn't say in the 1st century, but that's when Jesus lived. That's when he was on earth. I should say that's he's when he was on earth, and that's the 1st century. We know what the Torah looked like then. Mm-hmm. And in the 7th century, we know what it looked like then when Muhammad is saying, I'm confirming what is with you to the Jews in the 7th century. We know what the Torah looked like then. So this whole thing about 5th century BC and or before Christ and things, it's like this is just a distraction, and it's one of the scripts that they have, and it doesn't work because the Quran affirms the Torah after that, and also contemporary in its own time as well. So you don't even need to have that conversation about. You just need to say what was the Torah in Muhammad's time? What was the Torah in the time of Jesus on earth?
It's like if I pretend that the Quran agreed everything with the Bible, but has just been changed down the centuries. That's what they're doing. They saying that the Torah agreed with the Quran at some point, but just changed down the centuries. But if I say that to a Muslim, he'll laugh at me. There's no evidence that there were 2 Qurans, one exactly like the Bible, and now has been changed. I don't have evidence for that. That's exactly the same thing. I could sit and say, well, maybe people were embarrassed and changed things in the Quran. That's exactly what they're saying, with no evidence that there were 2 different Qurans. There's no evidence there were 2 different Torahs, one exactly like the Quran now, and one back then, and now one hundreds of years later that is different with thousands of random differences. It's just silly. It's basically assuming things have been changed. Why do you assume things have been changed? You need evidence.
Yeah, and if you're going to just assume all these imaginary, hypothetical causes to be doing all this, and you just, well, I'm just saying it, and that's all I need. I mean, gosh, just say aliens showed up and made all these changes, and then when Jesus appeared, the aliens came back, changed it to the original. That's how Jesus could confirm it, and then
Fontana.
Yeah, and then Jesus and then the aliens came back, and they if you're going to say, you can say anything, guys. You can say it. The question is, what evidence do you have? That's what's missing here. That's what's missing in this entire hypothesis. Let's see.
We don't have access to the motivation. Doesn't mean that there couldn't have been some sort of motivation behind it, and therefore the argument is simply going to be like very low probability.
But go back to the main argument. It's about Occam's razor at this point now. Now we have to posit all these intentional changes. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's just an easier explanation to shave all that off and just say the Quran just made errors from here.
Yeah, that wouldn't follow because we're not accounting in infallibility and fallibility of writers.
But that's assuming your conclusion.
No, because I'm actually making an argument. What I'm saying is I'm lowering her probability by saying that there is other explanations that require less presuppositions, such as that the authors or the collectors are going to be fallible, and therefore we still expect these same changes. My explanation requires less presupposition, and therefore under Occam's razor, my explanation would follow to be better.
So how does you're saying they're fallible, so therefore they're just making mistakes,
right?
That's unintentional mistakes, right?
Right.
So they're unintentionally going into all of these specific details, making these differences on accident over and over and over and over again that has a continuity with the first mistake.
I thought he wasn't going to argue intentionality and things like that. What happened to that? Now, so he's even changing. Well, this is, again, it's taking him off script. So he's kind of come up, the Muslim side is coming up with this on the spot. They don't know how to respond to this. So you can tell this guy is, he tried to bring in Itachi. She didn't really know where to go. So he tried to come back. But I just wanted to also note something, that the Muslims didn't bring one single verse from the Quran arguing their position, right? Yet. I don't know how far we're into it, but they haven't done that yet. Whereas the Christian side has brought multiple verses from the Quran, and we heard like a hadith from what's her name, Cora or Tachi. We heard a hadith from her, but that didn't touch on actually the Islamic dilemma, because they responded to that and they never came back, because that actually is not. It doesn't contradict what we're saying. It actually just says that there's replacement. It doesn't say anything about what they're arguing, actually. So I just wanted to note that none of the Muslims have brought up zero verses, zero passages in the Quran to argue for their position.
Yeah, they're just sitting and dreaming up hypotheses of what happened.
This is the state of Dawah now. It's just make up as much as possible to avoid the Islamic dilemma. But I mean, it is a positive change that they've apparently given up on just going to Quran passages, because they know that won't work against anyone who's familiar with them at this point.
Yeah. The second mistake and the third mistake and the fifth and sixth and seventh and 10th mistake all make one consistent story, but it disagrees with the Quran, so therefore...
Well, when you say consistent, I don't really know what that means, because if you're simply saying that there's mistakes,
so
and they don't contradict, well, yeah, of course there can be scribal mistakes and they don't contradict, and they can build it over time.
Do you think the Passover was a scribal mistake?
What do you mean?
Do you think the Passover is a scribal mistake?
No, I believe it's intentional, actually. Because I believe that this specific example, it has a financial motivation, specifically regarding to the rabbis and the priests. They would have wanted to have this sort of sacrificial system implemented, because they would obviously influence financial gain. So that can be intentionally explained away. So that's different.
How?
Okay, even if we grant that.
I just explained it.
Even if we grant that, then we can throw that out. Do you know the story of Talut in the Quran? So Talut, Saul, right? He's about to go to an army to fight Goliath, and then he tests his army with a river. He says, if you drink from the hollow of your hands, you're with me. If not, you're not. And then he and his army...
Wrong guy. Got the wrong guy here, buddy. Yeah. Okay, so, I see where she was going. Yeah, because, again, her reasoning is interesting. We would normally go, here's what the Bible says. The Quran clearly gets the wrong guy here, and yet the Quran affirms our scriptures, and so Islamic dilemma. Whereas I think she's going, here's what the Quran says, but according to the Bible, the Quran got the wrong guy, but you think it's the Bible that got the wrong guy. Therefore, the Bible must have originally got the right guy, and then some scribe at some point switched it to the wrong guy, and that entered into all the other copies. What would the motivation be? Because he's like, well, maybe there's a financial motivation for the sacrificial system and stuff. Maybe there's a financial reason for them changing that. Okay, what's the reason for changing this?
Charges at Goliath's army, and then it says David kills Goliath. Right. So anyone who has read the Torah, any copy, manuscript of the Torah, any corroboration of the Torah story of Saul, in any part of the world, they would know that is completely just divergent.
So that's like a different example. Okay.
Exactly. Now, but it's not just different, it's mixed. So it's mixed with this character in the book of Judges, right? That is way before Saul. And that's his story with the testing the army with the river, okay? So anyone who reads the Torah is gonna know this. And the Tanakh in that sense. But the idea here is that what you have to say is that a Jew, because that's on accident, that's on purpose. A Jew did this. A Jew made up the story of Gideon, completely made it up, and then rewrote the story of Saul. Okay. So again, what does the water have to do with any type of motive, theological, political, etc.?
So you guys keep...
So here, guys, it's... What's the best explanation? Author of the Quran got these things wrong, or there was, I suppose, the original story, which was about Saul, and then someone changed it to Gideon or made up the story about Gideon, and then it got... Explain the reasoning here. And then that mistake ended up in all the copies and is always part of the story of Gideon, never part of the story of Saul until you get to the Quran. What's more obvious?
Kind of like sticking to the point of that, it's either the scribe is intentionally altering it or a scribe unintentionally just fallibly made an error. But
no, it's all intentional.
If you can just the God logic specifically made some instances where you said it was unintentional.
No. We were trying to show you that for it to be unintentional would be really like
Okay,
very
so
not probable.
But the thing is, earlier y'all were granting for the sake of the argument that
yeah, guys, as far as making that mistake unintentionally, like taking a story about Saul and making it the story of Gideon, that's not like a textual error, right? That's not just like a spelling mistake or something that you might make unintentionally. You're taking an entire story from one guy and putting it in a completely different book. That would need to be intentional, it seems.
Jewish tradition, and that Jewish tradition, like it says in, we
rejected that.
Earlier you granted.
Well, we do reject it, but for the sake of argument.
I'm just,
so that means build.
Yeah, go ahead, sorry.
So you guys are kind of ignoring the fact that in 2 Kings 25, King Nebuchadnezzar burned down everything of the Torah, and that Torah was lost for 70 years. So they didn't have any Torah manuscripts for over 70 years. Like Jeremiah says that they were in exile for 70 years. So they didn't have any Torah manuscript whatsoever for 70 years. Hold on. And then furthermore, we see that when Ezra did revise this Torah and redact it together, he has laws that were not found for over 1,000 years, like it says in Nehemiah 8:16-17, that they started following festivals and laws that were not done since the days of Joshua. So for over 1,000 years, there isn't a single Torah document that ever had this law, but now you see that Ezra's revision has this law in it. So it's not that every single change is intentional from a scribe. They didn't have any Torah for 70 years. Now you're just expecting us to, someone who doesn't have a Torah for 70 years, to just recompile that and have a perfect Torah.
I disagree with that, but you got away from our point.
Right.
So this is why we keep saying like that's kind of a shift. Now, number one, Nebuchadnezzar is contemporary with Daniel, right? Daniel had a Torah. In Daniel 9, he actually quotes from and he references it, the Torah that he has and the word of Jeremiah that he...
Yeah, that's the thing there. If you're assuming no Torah for all these years, you got some serious problems with other passages. But you'd also have problems with the Quran. Again, you get to the time of Jesus. Jesus confirms the Torah between his hands, and the gospel he brings confirms the Torah. They're acting like the Torah is just some mess, and who knew what was originally in it? So they're kind of making it up later. That's what Jesus was confirming, and then centuries after that, Muhammad says, yes, I'm confirming the Torah that you guys have right now. Bring me a copy of the Torah. I believe in you and in the one who revealed you. What? How? How's this working? It's like they present theories that are completely incoherent with other things they say and believe. And it's good. The Islamic Dilemma apparently forces them into this.
Appeals to understand that this is the time where God's supposed to free the people from Babylon.
Hey, quick break from the show. I want to give a big shout out
Not
to...
again, buddy, because I know you're going to take 10 minutes.
But then again, you'd have to have evidence. You'd have to have evidence that the Gideon and Saul stories were mixed.
Her point.
Yeah.
And you don't have that evidence.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. So it's one, you need evidence of the change, and then...
Otherwise, you're just making it up.
And then some sort of motive and very simple solution. Author of the Quran didn't know what he was talking about. Let's see here.
She's talking about specific examples where you guys have to reconcile. If you're going to say this is corruption, why and how? Because there's no motive, there's no intention, or it isn't. It's intentional because these changes are consistent and they're building up on these era after era after era after era. They're building a narrative off of the first mistake. So they're doing this over and over and over again. This isn't intentional. They're changing ages, reactions. These aren't accidents. So
that's why I said specifically regarding your point. So number one, when you say that it's something consistent or they're building on something consistent, are you merely saying, and this is rhetorical, are you merely saying that this we don't see any contradictions, therefore the story can be reconciled, and therefore we can... No. So he's not saying that?
No, he is saying that it can't be reconciled.
It can't be reconciled?
Yeah, those...
No, we're not talking about the Quran at this point. We're talking about the stories in the Bible. That's the point that you're building on. That we see these authors or these scribes, they're building on a narrative, right? That's what you're saying. And you're saying that as long as they don't contradict, we can assume that they're building on a narrative. Well, I can simply grant you that, hey, even if there's no contradictions per se, doesn't mean that the specific narrative that they're all in on, that they're building upon. It simply means that the story doesn't contradict. That's number one. And number two, I'm gonna get to the second point that he made regarding the intention, whether it's intentional or no, whether we have epistemic access. I already responded to this. Just because we don't have epistemic access to the justification behind a specific scribe doing this, doesn't mean that there couldn't have been a reason. The same thing with the principle of embarrassment. You guys have to show me how is that any different from the principle of embarrassment being a very weak historical critique to be used to determine whether something is historical or not.
Because you're saying that.
Yeah. So we talked about this. I just want to point out, guys, I would agree completely with the general idea. Someone in 7th century Arabia, or 14th century BC, Israel, whatever the case may be, wherever you are, you could have all sorts of motivations and ideas that we're just not familiar with, and so on, right? So if it was just one thing, that would be completely plausible. Just everything's coherent right here. We got a perfectly reasonable story. But there's this one thing right here where it seems like it would be embarrassing. Okay, well, maybe it wasn't embarrassing to them. When you need thousands of imaginary reasons for doing things, it becomes increasingly implausible, right? Because if you said, hey, what are the odds that they have one really, 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 really weird idea about, and we just have no access to it, we're not familiar with it? Actually, pretty probable, right? People in different times did think differently. When you say thousands of reasons over the centuries, and we can't even imagine one of them, okay, then you're actually positing imaginary entities. That's what Occam's razor is meant to do. The more sort of extra entities you need to incorporate in your hypothesis without having evidence for them, the weaker your hypothesis becomes, and the more you favor something that's much smoother and doesn't require all this extra stuff. This is just weird. Are they going to?
But then they correct it because Jesus then comes and confirms it.
Yeah. Chris, does this just go on like this forever, or?
Yeah.
Or do they actually,
yeah,
do they actually go to a more interesting? Do they go on to something more interesting? I mean, this is interesting, but it's like not forever. Not if this is going to be the entire debate.
Right.
Yeah, I think they do go off eventually. I think. I'm trying to remember what the next point is they get hung up on. Okay. Yeah, I can't remember at the top of my head, but I think this does eventually end. But yeah, it's a lot of waffle that they're trying to
Okay,
sell.
maybe we'll hear what God Logic's reply here is, and then maybe we'll fast forward to see if they get to something else that's because again, basically we've got the idea here. We've got the idea. So they're going back and forth, but we got the idea.
Yeah.
You're saying that that's weak if that's the only thing that's used. This isn't. We're not using the principle of embarrassment.
No, I'm not talking about principle of embarrassment. I'm talking about the specific inference that if there is no motivation, therefore we can assume the text to be reliable. So no, I'm not granting that inference.
It's probable. Do you think it's probable?
Good. So you're arguing from induction, right? You're arguing for probability.
Sure.
Okay, good. We can lower that probability, and as long as we get it below 51%, then the argument doesn't follow anymore. And we can show that as long as your explanation and my explanation, if the probability of both add up to 1, you have to show me why yours is more probable than mine. And I'm showing that your standard of just saying, hey, just because we don't know the motivation, right, doesn't mean that there is no motivation. It just doesn't follow. We have to justify that premise. But
You're talking about thousands of imaginary motivations, dude. That's the thing.
Give me the reason
And it's not the only thing. There's no evidence of this. You don't have the textual evidence of the changes. And then on top of all that, you've got, according to Islam, Jesus confirming the text that was there during his time, which you're claiming had already been filled with all these mistakes. And then your God and your prophet in 7th century Arabia telling the Jews again, hey, we confirm everything in that book right there, which according to what you guys are saying was filled with thousands of changes made by people for some deliberate reasons. We just have no access to them. Okay. If you don't understand why that's a stupid hypothesis, I don't know what to say at this point.
Sound like Genzo.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, let's clear our minds with these super chats, and then we will.
Okay.
I'll fast forward and see if we got something. If they go off in a different direction. I've watched Chris, thinking he reminds me of someone, and it hit me. It's Mark King of Level 42. Sincerely, I have zero clue what that means.
I think we have to.
Is Chris looking up Mark King of Level 42?
I'm an English singer and songwriter. Oh, nice.
I can see that. Jizya for the Muslim couple. Are you talking about Rashad and Sumaya or someone else? My friend is
I thought you were talking about Itachi and the guy she's sitting like on his lap.
That
was another thing.
That's what I mean. I couldn't tell.
Trouble for because they're so close to each other.
Can't be rubbing shoulders.
Yeah.
And I believe he was also in her house.
Or the hotel or something like that.
Well, as long as mom was there.
Yeah.
As long as mom was there.
Unchaperoned company. Just haram.
My friend is coming to England on the 24th. He is bringing my copy of the Islamic Dilemma. It would be awesome awesome to have your signature, Chris.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So 24th, okay. So Speaker's Corner is on the Sunday, so the 26th. So yeah, if you're there, I'll see you there and I'll sign the copy.
Bring it to Speaker's Corner. Tell your friend to bring it to Cruciform Crusader. Tell your friend to bring it to Speaker's Corner. Thank you for that. D. Wood, did you see the Cora versus Cliff Connectly debate that happened a few days ago? I'd love to hear your thoughts on it. No, I did not. I did not watch that. It's basically there's so many debates happening that I kind of have to pick, and that's just not one of the ones I wanted to watch. Anyone else want to comment on that? Anyone else see it?
I didn't watch it, but there was a clip of it that I saw where they were talking about how many Qurans there are. And the segment was hilarious because both Libiano and Cora completely dropped the ball and they made some major mistakes. So that's hopefully going to be a video coming out soon from us. Other than that one part, One Way Apologetics, Chris Kloss, he actually did do a review. There are portions of it that I saw, but I didn't watch the entirety of it, just like portions, clips and things.
Mm-hmm. Why don't they ever touch the resurrection? Duck Lips went as far as saying, we believe Jesus is God because he was crucified. Yeah, I saw that the other day. It was Ortho Duck Lips, and he said, oh, how are Christians concluding that Jesus is God just because he's crucified? And it's like, what? I've never heard anyone say that ever. More along the lines of Jesus rose from the dead, and so he's got God's stamp of approval. Here are the things he said, and what would that make him? But yeah, so has to be deliberate. Has to be deliberate. Intentional. Why? Why would he want to deceive people? We don't know. Mo loves ball games. Unfortunately, he's a terrible goalie. Since the Al Zut scored repeatedly, Ibn Masud was regretting watching the game. Very weird. Love you all. God bless. Thank you. I think okay, perfect, etc. are some media coaching. That's possible because they all started having that weird tick around the same time and just doing different versions of it. I don't recall that being a thing in previous years. Dawa person, will you submit to a Turing test? Okay, beautiful. The Pluto Bible of the... Oh, this was happening the other day. In Theogenic Church of Enoch coming 722. Western defense is baked into it. Okay. Muslims have a phrase when they weren't listening. I love a Muslim said, okay, I hear what you're saying, and proceeded to show he wasn't listening. Yeah. They use okay, perfect, and beautiful in place of the Arabic curse words they want to use. Probably a code they all agreed on.
Oh, that'd be actually kind of funny if it actually, like, in their circles, that all meant, like, I wish you were, whatever.
I curse you.
The Sunnah has 1,400 miracles versus 260 in the Bible.
Really?
Itachi, he's a character from the Naruto series. Believe it or not, it's all about magical ninja clans warring with each other. Yeah, and Itachi means weasel.
Makes sense.
Do Muslims also confirm the mice or frog Quran? Because apparently there are scholars that say Allah sent 124,000 prophets even to animals. That opens up possibilities for completely new dilemmas. Don't know. Chris, just finished your book. I loved it, but who's this nerd you let write the foreword? Just kidding. Love your work too, David, and hi, Giant DOC.
Thank you, Mum. Thank you so much. Really nice.
Yeah. Hey, that's good, Dean. That's good. Bullis' 1,000-year-old critique of Islam mentions Islamic Dilemma.
Yes, Bullis ibn Raja. So he's a 11th century ex-Muslim who becomes Christian, and he has a really awesome story, and he mentions the Islamic Dilemma. There's a scholar whose name slips my mind. He's recently written a translation of one of the manuscripts that has his work in it, where he mentions the Islamic Dilemma, and you can read it. You can check out Gabriel Syed Reynolds' YouTube channel, Exploring the Bible and the Quran, and you can see the interview where he talks about it.
Why have they never forged their Torah scriptures? I don't know what that means.
Oh, yeah, they make it go back to the original.
Yeah. Bullis ibn Raja, 1,000-year-old critique, chapter 16, page 201. There you have it.
Oh, wow, man. He even gave the reference.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Nice.
Allah displays signs of every disorder. That's true. Peace be upon him. Police be upon him. I meant Orthodox criticizes Christian always. Yes, he does. Sad that Itachi has a black belt in Dawaganda. We got Daniel here. What's the book on Chris's desk?
So grateful you asked, Daniel. This is the Islamic Dilemma. If you guys are interested in learning more about the Islamic Dilemma, you can pick up this book from Amazon, and it should be available in your area. And read more about the arguments that God Logic, IP, and Bella are bringing up in this debate.
Question for you guys. Is Allah ever called Yahweh in the Quran Hadith? If not, then Allah isn't the God of Abraham. Exodus 3:16 shows that. God bless. Yeah, AP brought that up even when he was an atheist. He brought up the problem of Allah in the Quran not knowing his name. Yeah. Allah's mic dilemma, intentional confusion, not in the sense. Can we call Muslim deceivers macaroons?
I like macaroon.
If we grant conscious edits, then that means anything that isn't edited is true. Yeah, that's another important point. That if you say Allah's purpose in the Quran is editing these errors, okay, so he's changing, okay, so he's really, hey, water versus no water, this, that, the correct number of plagues, and not fixing all kinds of other things that are like massively more important for an Islamic perspective. And what you'd have to conclude is if he changed all these little things, then if he didn't change it, well, it's still good as gold.
Oh, that's a really good point. Yeah.
Yeah, like Jesus allowing people to worship him in the Injil.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Allah just
calling
skipped
Allah,
over that.
Calling God Father.
Yeah.
He allows all that.
Yeah.
Dr. Wood, will you pick up Cora's Isaiah argument to show Islam is the Oedipal, you mean Oedipal mother, Alhamdulillah mama? Yeah, I still plan on making a video about that where Cora accidentally started the cult of the Motherites. Next time, Itachi's going to wear a full Sub-Zero cosplay. Finally, a reference I understand. Mortal Kombat. There is some support or intentional changes in the Masoretic versus Dead Sea Scrolls versus Septuagint manuscripts, particularly with the near Diluvian patriarchs like Shem, when the Septuagint and Dead Sea Scrolls agree against the Masoretic text. You can grant all of that. None of that has anything to do with their arguments. It's not.
Yeah, because what's really interesting is that you'd hear them saying this if you had this, but imagine if there was let's say the difference between the Masoretic textual tradition, which really there's not really the Masoretic text, like one text. It's actually textual tradition. There's it's more than one text. It's a text type actually. But anyway, let's say there's that. Then you have the Septuagint and you have the Dead Sea Scrolls. And let's say that there's a difference between all of them, and one of those agreed with what the Quran is saying. Well, Muslims would say that all the time, but why isn't there one example of this preserved edit amongst any tradition?
One of life's great mysteries. And Paul traveling around checking all the changes. Guys, why is there still water in the will? We said no water. Rewrite that. Yeah, you do need some. You do need some good explanation for how these changes work their way into everything. I mean, keep in mind that when you're saying the changes are everywhere, what you mean is the change was really early, so that it affected everything. The problem in Islam is you have people confirming the text long after these changes would have been made. Why? Just say you're correcting them. It's pretty simple. What is this? Sorry for the off-topic question. Is Bukhari 3167 stating that Muhammad is co-owner of the earth in partnership with Allah? Yeah,
we're looking at it right now.
It all belongs to Allah and Muhammad, right? Oh yeah, you guys mind checking out the Arabic of that? Is that what it's actually saying? So that's the Arabic, right?
Oh,
the whole earth belongs to Allah and Muhammad, right?
Yes, it does say that. It says in أن الأرض لله ورسوله, that the earth is for Allah and His Messenger. Shirk.
Mm-hmm. It's pretty shirky. Dawa shirk do 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 do.
The chapter is the expelling of Jews from the Arabian Peninsula.
Very powerful. Who was the least immoral of the 4 Sunni caliphs?
That would be a fun debate to have.
I got my answer. What would you guys say?
The least
moral. The least
immoral. So who was
the least immoral? Okay,
who's the actual best of the 4 rightly guided caliphs?
That's a tough one.
Abu Bakr, because he
didn't live long, right?
He's the shortest, but he did a lot of killing in those 2 years of Muslim apostates.
Yeah, he even burned people.
That's
so short, but burned people.
That's the thing, because you have the story of Ali burning people as well later on.
Yeah, you do.
So
and then you have Ibn Abbas correcting him, saying, "Wait, no, Muhammad said don't punish people with the punishment of Allah, which is burning them with fire." And then Ali goes, "Oh, okay, fine." But you have in Tabari Abu Bakr burning people, so they're burning people all the way from Abu Bakr all the way to Ali, and then Ibn Abbas suddenly remembers, "Boy, you guys are really taking Muhammad's words seriously."
Uthman, probably because he burnt a lot of Qur'ans. But then there were a lot of people against him, including Aisha. She said he was a foolish old man. And they killed him pretty brutally. They hated him.
I think Umar was the biggest hothead.
Yes.
Did someone say 6, 7? Did you say...
Oh, are they doing the 6-7 joke because it was Bukhari 3167?
Yeah.
Have any of you tried debating the imams in Dearborn? I feel like they are more important to debate right now than Cora, since she has no authority.
I mean, they're not as popular, though.
Yeah. Any of these imams want to debate, we'll debate them. Allah only made it appear to control Alt-Delete. Doesn't the Quran say the word of God can't be corrupted? So the Torah, Gospel were never the word of God, or Quran is wrong, but it endorses them. So this guy gets it.
Yeah, exactly.
His Korah is the Leonardo of the Ninja Turtles 2.0. For DOC, hello, I'm a Christian, definitely not Korah. Just objectively saying you didn't refute any of her arguments. Okay, perfect.
Okay.
No, we need is that in a we need is that in a man's robot voice.
Yeah.
Here you go. For DOC, hello, I am a Christian, definitely not Korah. Just objectively saying you didn't refute any of my her arguments. Okay, perfect. That's how you do it. Then we have no Itachi's black bet is in.
Oh.
That's what they use for. They use that for martial arts, which actually don't work. But these guys have followers, and they'll just like, oh, when you do this, and then the person will fall over, and it works in class. But if you ever try it in a fight, the guy's just going to beat the crap out of you.
Yeah.
So they actually came up with a nickname for those kind of martial arts. It's because Paul is a time traveler. He changed all the copies of the Torah and Injil after Momo confirmed them. And then in 1000 BC, he also wrote the Islamic Dilemma, only possible explanation. You do need something like that to actually account for this stuff. And then we've got somebody send DOC a link to Lutheran satire.
Yeah, someone made a reference to it about that's modalism, Patrick, and she didn't get the reference. So I haven't showed it to you yet, but yeah, we gotta.
There's a lot of things I don't catch in the moment.
We gotta. I'm gonna have to show it to her. Yeah.
All right, so back to this. We won't go too much longer, but we will try and find any. I wish I had timestamps on particular. Let me just check and see if anyone added timestamps to Brian Davila's video. Sometimes people just do that in the comments. Brian, would be cool if they're getting to some different points at some point. I see no timestamps here. I see 0 timestamps. All right, I'm just going to fast forward for a while and see what they're talking about. Just go right to the middle here, kind of.
Read the Torah, basically.
He can understand that Muhammad would be in the Torah and the Injil.
The Torah we have today, is it a major theme of Muhammad being a prophet?
Yes.
And you can't miss it.
You can't miss it, no.
Oh, this is good.
Wait, what?
Okay.
Whoa!
Wait. Yeah, this is good.
Whoa, you just went to like the best part.
Just randomly. Wait, yeah, Muhammad's all over the Torah. What are you talking about? It's unmistakable.
Wind up a little bit and yeah, watch this. It's good.
Back up. How long do you think? A minute, 2 minutes? What?
Yeah, something like that. A minute, 2 minutes.
Okay. All right, guys, I'm backing it up because this just got real interesting. Again, that section was interesting. I just didn't want that to continue forever after we'd gotten the point.
Can they walk away without understanding that Christ was crucified?
It's possible.
Wow.
Because that person is silly.
I have met people that have. I have met Gnostics.
You know this is nonsense.
I have met people that say that. Gnostics.
Amir, listen.
Go ahead, bro.
I just did a live. Me and Life was live the other day.
Beautiful.
We were in our truck, eating in and out. Did a live on the crucifixion, bro. A Muslim came up and told me the crucifixion is not in the gospel.
Beautiful. Let me tell you the symmetry break now. Let me tell you the difference. The difference is that you're talking to a layman, right?
No, you don't know that.
You don't know that.
Well, obviously, you're talking to
a mom.
That's right. You're talking to someone that obviously wouldn't be learned compared to Abdullah bin Salam, who was a rabbi.
Can I add on to this?
Who was a rabbi. It's very inconceivable, right, that you would get major themes wrong according to Torah. Again, he said he wouldn't be building up on this, but he did exactly do that. He built up on logical possibility to determine a conclusion about a historical document. And
I didn't even make a conclusion yet.
Yes, you are. Because
I didn't yet.
Let me bring it up.
Again, you're saying that it's logically possible, therefore it can be reconciled within your argumentation of the Islamic dilemma. Now, this is what you're arguing for.
I didn't make a conclusion yet.
Let me land this point.
This is a very important
we can cut this short, right? It's very simple. That Avery is trying to work off this logical possibility that it's possible that this is the case, and therefore the Islamic dilemma is still going to follow. Well, it doesn't work like that. I'm about to finish up. Regarding historical documentation, regarding historical accounts, interpretation of that, you don't work off possibility semantics, right? So when there's a major theme from Torah or the Injil, right, and we know that they're rabbis, we know that they interacted with Jews and Christians. We know that Zayd bin Thabit went and learned the Jewish scriptures. That is very unlikely for them to miss a major theme. It doesn't follow.
Would a major theme be prophecies of Muhammad?
Yes.
Okay, so it would be near. So Abdullah bin Salam could not get those wrong if he read the Torah, basically.
He can understand that Muhammad would be in the Torah and the Injil.
The Torah we have today, is it a major theme of Muhammad being a prophet?
Yes.
And you can't miss it.
You can't miss it, no.
Huh?
Wow.
The Torah we have today, it's a major theme that Muhammad is a prophet and you can't miss it.
The Quran doesn't even claim that.
Yeah, I know. The Quran doesn't even claim that. And by the way, Jai mentioned this earlier. We didn't focus on it much, but Jai mentioned this earlier that when you started getting Muslim commentators saying that the text of the Torah had been corrupted It was in response to, why can't we find these references to Muhammad that we're supposed to be finding? And back then it was, oh yeah, the Torah is as good as gold, except for the fact that they deliberately took out these parts about Muhammad to throw us off the trail so that people wouldn't know Muhammad is a true prophet. Now you get down to our time, and all kinds of other things in the Torah were corrupted, but not these amazing prophecies about Muhammad. They've reversed it. They've reversed things from once you get to scholars saying that the Torah has been changed or altered. How was it changed or altered back then? They took out the prophecies about Muhammad. Shame on them. Now you got the prophecies about Muhammad are so clear, and it's the only thing you can really trust. Total reversal. The dawah reversal.
Okay. Wow.
Okay. So
let me add one more thing.
So
Wait, did they just giggle over that? Hang on.
Very unlikely for them to miss a major theme. It doesn't follow. Right?
Would a major theme be prophecies of Muhammad?
Yes.
Okay, so it would be so Abdullah bin Salam could not get those wrong if he read the Torah, basically.
He can understand that Muhammad will be in the Torah and the Injil.
The Torah we have today, is it a major theme of Muhammad being a prophet?
Yes.
And you can't miss it.
You can't miss it, no.
Okay.
That is what they were laughing at. They started busting out laughing over that. Oh, you can't miss it. You can't miss it, guys.
I like this lady. By the way, Abdullah ibn Salam was not a rabbi. He was a random Jew who followed Muhammad. But they see how they elevated him. Because he's some random Jew, one of the very rare Jews that followed Muhammad. So now he's a rabbi who knows everything.
Yeah, and in fact, there's contradictions in the biographies of Abdullah bin Salam, and there's like Jewish scholars who have written about him, and there's no mention of him anywhere. Because the way the Muslims talk about him is he's like this great rabbi.
He is the greatest rabbi who ever walked the planet, and he spoke for all Jews.
Everybody would go to him, and everybody knew who he is. Jews are like
Jews from around the world would take a pilgrimage to gaze upon Abdullah.
It's like,
and they're like, we have no idea who this guy is.
It's like hundreds of years from now, they're like, DOC was the Pope.
Yeah.
She came to Christianity from Islam. She was actually a great imam. She was the great Grand Mufti of Saudi.
Yeah.
And she found Jesus in the Quran.
Yeah, by the way, those are
contradictions. Yeah.
Oh, I was just going to mention, those are the kinds of stories like that, Waraka, all these stories about random monks and stuff like that. Those are the stories I don't trust, just because these guys were so desperate to find like people of the book who are confirming Muhammad or providing evidence for it. But when you look at the details, don't make any sense, right? Like Muhammad's going around, and the Christian leaders of the time and monks, and they're all like, oh, we knew this prophet was coming because we're all sitting around waiting for this Arabian prophet who's prophesied in our scriptures, and this is him, but we're going to rebel against him anyway, or we're affirming him or whatever. But it's like, okay, on what planet were people just waiting for this? Where are you getting that from? Where are you getting that from? It sounds like something made up. So anyway, it's the same with Waraka, with these random Christian leaders and so on, and monks, and they're all confirming that they're all waiting for this guy. And so Abdullah bin Salam, this sounds like something that people, by the time you get to the hadiths, were making up to try and add some sort of credibility to Muhammad.
Yeah, so like in their tradition, they'll say like, yeah, he's a leading scholar, like, he's like a big, everyone would come to him and people would embrace him, and from all over the world they just come to him. And then you have
why didn't he have any followers?
Yeah, and you have the Jews who are saying that like, we have no idea who this guy is, doesn't exist. And in fact, it seems like there's contradictions too, like when he converted to Islam as well. There's contradictions there, and some. Yeah, like you said, like it just seems like it's something just made up to bolster up stories about people, like famous people converting to Islam or something like that.
If he was so great, he would have had followers that would have followed him into Islam. Muhammad didn't have. He had less than 10 Jews.
Yeah, because he said in a hadith that if 10 Jews believed in him, then all Jews would believe in him.
Less than 10 in all that time, in decades of being a prophet.
Okay, so
let me add one more thing.
So diverting to like a different topic.
Notice what just happened. You said that people could cannot read the Gospels and miss major themes. But there's an entire world, Jews and Christians all over the world. We read the Torah. You're saying that's a major theme. We say it's not in there. So you're double talking.
So why do we have expectation of Jews in 7th century Arabia expecting a Arabian prophet?
According to who?
Real quick.
According to who?
Abdullah bin Salam,
Do you know what he says?
According to this random convert from the 7th century that no one knows about and had no following and wasn't a rabbi and wasn't anything.
Yeah, like according to Islam, a bunch of Jews were expecting Muhammad to come. According to Islam.
But
And a bunch of
Jews
Christians
were expecting
too.
Muhammad to come. They didn't follow him when he came.
Yeah, a bunch
Only
of
Abdullah bin Salam, one name.
a bunch of Christians too. But I mean, guys, everyone see what just happened? Hey, is the prophethood of Muhammad a very common theme in the Torah we have today? Yes. Is it unmistakable? Yes. And of course they had to laugh over that. And then, okay, where are you getting this from? Where are you getting this from that it's completely obvious there? Well, why were the Jews of Arabia expecting this prophet? According to who? Who? What's the evidence that Jews of Arabia were expecting this guy? Our Muslim sources written centuries later when we know they were fabricating things.
And they mentioned one dude.
Yeah, and I got one guy. This is the proof. Oh my goodness, this is bad.
So according to Islamic sources, the Jews were expecting a 7th century prophet.
Real quick. Abdullah bin Salam is attested to by non-Islamic chronicles to be a real person that existed. Now,
That's not true.
What's the
Okay, wait, let me-
No. Let me make my point regarding a hadith, right? The only way you can get around
Thank
this
you.
if you say that a hadith are ahistorical and therefore they can't be used to reference back what the Jews would believe in.
This is what you're doing.
Real quick.
This is what you're doing.
You want to land my point?
I understand your point. But this is, wait, let me, come on.
I'm about to land.
You just landed after
If it is the case that a hadith are historical and they tell us about real events that happened, even according to Abdullah bin Salam, would you agree if it is historical that there was Jewish expectations of an Arabian prophet to come?
If it was historical, beautiful. If it was historical, but guess what? You don't have historical evidence of what Abdullah bin Salam
amazing. Let's go
in.
to that.
Now hold on. Here's the issue that you guys are not even dealing with.
Yep.
Okay, the circle. You just said it's improbable for if something is a major theme for someone of a scholar of the book and religion to miss such a major theme. Let me ask you this: are there scholars, Hebraic scholars, and biblical scholars, Greek scholars that miss these prophecies of Muhammad in the Torah?
Of course, but we're talking about in the context.
Pause there. I built this point.
No.
Everyone getting this? The claim was it's even the Torah today. You can't miss it. You can't miss the prophecies about Muhammad. Okay, then we've got tons of scholars of the Torah, both Jewish and Christian, tons of them. How are they missing all of this? Why, if you can't miss it, why is everyone missing? But Abdullah bin Salam, according to our sources from centuries later, oh my goodness.
Come on, brother.
You gotta let me land. You can't just take a yes or no and then run with it, right?
Brother,
there's going to be a difference here. We're talking about something where there is expectation of an Arabian prophet to come, right? Compared to something where you say that nobody would have done so except Abdullah bin Salam. Only he would have missed it. It's very different.
No,
right?
Now you switched it.
Real quick.
Come on. You've been talking this whole time, bro.
You said that the argument...
Amir.
You gotta let me land, bro.
You took over my point that I was making.
You asked Medical to me. Real quick.
I asked this question to build my point, and you're taking over my point.
When it comes to Medical to me,
Amir, I'm not going to allow you to take over my turn to speak.
I understand that, but you asked the question.
So allow me to finish what I was saying.
You asked the question, so I'm going to give it a
You already gave, and of course, yes.
No.
Then you made a point, and now you're making another point. I didn't ask this for you to build on different explanations, bro.
I'm simply going to make it.
So please allow me to finish what I was saying.
You can finish, but you asked the question, Avery.
So allow me to finish what I was saying.
I got you. I'm going to finish up and then you can...
No. I'm going to finish it now.
He said, I got you. That's Avery's line, man.
Just let him finish his point.
Well, like I was saying, you said, of course, there are scholars, learned men, learned people, biblical scholars, Hebraic scholars that completely miss the main theme of Muhammad being mentioned in the Torah and the Gospel. So therefore, your entire argument was shot because you said that it's unlikely. No, you didn't just say it's unlikely. It can't happen. You said it can't happen that a rabbi who is knowledgeable of the Scripture, knowledgeable of the Torah, can miss a major theme like Muhammad being mentioned in the Scripture. You just shot yourself in the foot. So again, here, and let me just make the point because you're not going to answer like straight away. Here's the point. The point is that Muhammad is hearing things. Muhammad doesn't know the scripture. As you guys said, he's sending people to go, hey, go learn the Torah and then come tell me what it says. He doesn't know it himself. So he's only going by word of mouth. He does not know what is in the scripture. They can come and be telling him wrong things. For example, like Waraka telling him that the same angel that appeared to Moses is the angel that appeared to him in the cave. Did Gabriel appear to Moses?
Yeah, again, according to yes.
Huh?
Yes.
According to who?
According to the Torah, though?
According to the Torah, did Gabriel...
Hold on.
Yeah,
you want to answer?
Yeah, the question is...
Jewish traditions.
we had a question.
Let me rephrase it.
We don't
According to the Torah, did Gabriel appear to Moses?
Does he say according to the Torah?
That's what he says.
No, he doesn't say.
He says the angel, the same angel that appeared to you is the same one that appeared to Moses.
Yes. The Hadith doesn't say that according to the Torah, this is the same angel that came to Moses.
Where's he getting it from?
So it could be from Jewish tradition.
What Jewish
oral tradition? There's many Jewish oral traditions. You could go into the Sanhedrin, the Midrash, etc.
Do they say Gabriel came to Moses?
Yes. They verbatim say that he came to him by the burning bush.
That's excellent. You just contradict the Quran. He was wrong there. Yeah. Because according to the Quran, did
on this point, this is actually, Avery's correct that you don't have this according to the Torah, but actually the Hadith itself, and it's commonly translated as angel, but actually the Arabic word there actually it's funny because it actually means law.
It says الناموس الذي أنزل الله على موسى. The law that Allah revealed to Moses. So if it's not the Torah, Itachi, then what is it?
No. This is
because she said some other tradition.
This is the problem. They translate namus to the angel. They say this is the angel that appeared to Moses.
Actually, namus means the law.
Yeah, that's what it actually means. Muslim scholars say that it means angel. It doesn't mean that.
Angel. Angel is malek.
The word is the Greek word namos. It means same thing, law. And even in the Arabic Bible today, you see namus meaning just law. This is what it means. You have also an Aramaic as well. But in Muslim tradition, they take this word that everywhere before them and during and after say that it means law, and they say, oh, that's another name for the angel Gabriel.
But that's the same point. Even if they think the angel Gabriel came to Moses, did he?
That's what Avery is asking. Is that according to the Torah, no.
He didn't.
According to the Torah, no.
So either way, they got it wrong.
Yeah.
Marvelous.
Beautiful.
What if I say marvelous? Hey, we should each come up with a word that we all say. We just say it over and over again.
Okay, marvelous.
Spectacular.
Fantastic.
Magnificent.
Wonderful.
Amazing.
Amazing. Yeah, JPG.
Come to Moses and appear to Moses, or did Allah speak to him himself?
Good. So it's Allah who speaks to him himself. However, I'm not done. Don't get happy. Okay. The tafasir and what he's talking about and what the Jewish Bible say, specifically the Jewish oral tradition, is that there are other angels in the vicinity of it. Okay. So while he's speaking to Allah, there are also other angels present, such as Gabriel, which is what the Jewish traditions say, and also what Ibn Kathir, if I'm not mistaken, he also says in the tafasir as well for that.
Very good. So what we got here so far, ladies and gentlemen, we got a lot. What we got you guys were very happy to contradict the Quran, where it says
Did you not just hear the answer?
Oh, I heard your answer. Now,
can you repeat my answer,
absolutely. I'll still man what you say. I'll still man you, and then I'm gonna show you how you shot yourself in the foot again. So your answer is that Waraka is getting it from Jewish tradition, and according to some Jewish tradition, there were a multitude of angels that were in the vicinity when Allah appeared to Moses. Is that your point?
Yeah, so I didn't say what.
Let him finish.
That's why you're pitting me. I didn't say yes.
Yes, you did.
So
you literally said yes, and you're about to continue on a point to go super explain.
Holy crap!
You're trying to go super explain.
Relax.
So is that a yes?
No, it's not a yes. I never said Waraka specifically getting it from the Jewish traditions.
Bro, I'm walking out.
I said.
Yeah. This is ridiculous. You're double talking, bro.
So
wait. Stop.
I'm telling you.
You just said.
Okay, hold on 1 second. Pause right there.
God logic. Rage quits to me.
Before this was published, that's what they were saying. They're saying, guys, we got Avery to rage quit. He got up for 3 seconds. And
as a joke. All right, I'm
around. And they made a huge deal about it before this debate was published, and they're like, they got so angry, they rage quit, they left. Dude, they're such Muslims, they lie. Why are these dawah they're such liars? They lie all the time.
Do you know why someone would get up off their chair? Because you literally said it was from Jewish tradition, not literally the Torah, and then 2 minutes later you say, I didn't say it was from Jewish tradition. Like, if you want to gaslight somebody in the same minute and it's all recorded and people can't believe that you're doing it. If you speak with a forked tongue where you say the thing and its opposite within 1 minute, you're gonna have to expect people to get up from the chair, walk it off and come back.
So this is actually a point that people are making clips about where she contradicts herself here, because this is a contradiction. And so I just saw even on Avery's X, they just made a clip about this. So this point right here is being talked about.
Yeah, Avery getting up, it reminded me of when in my first video about Sneeko, and I said, looks like Sneeko is about to have a really bad weeko. And Sneeko actually watched that, and as soon as I said it, he got up and walked out of the room and closed the door. And then he came back in and just stared at the camera and then moved on. That's what that reminded me of. But I mean, imagine I made a video, Sneeko rage quits because he couldn't deal with the power of my argument. Avery jumps up and says, oh my goodness, jumps up, walks a few steps, come back. He rage quit. He couldn't handle the power of our dawah.
I'm sorry, Itachi, because it was my point.
I'm not going to do that.
It was my point. It was my point, Itachi. All right, don't talk.
No, it was my point. I'm literally the one that was talking about.
No, because I asked.
Yes, I'm going to speak.
I asked, was this correct according to your? Because I was making a point. You told me, wait, can you repeat what I said? I said, sure. I repeat what you said in light of following that I was going to make my point.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
So then when I repeated your point, I said, was this your position? You said yes, so, and then you was about to go on a diatribe.
I said yes insofar as I was going to say no to you. I was saying yes insofar as what I'm talking about.
Let's just have him finish his point, and then we're going to give you the floor.
You don't even know what you say yes and no to. My goodness.
Yeah, she doesn't know what she's saying yes or no to. She's just talking. These people, these Muslims are like insufferable. I mean, God bless Avery, IP, and Bell for dealing with these people, but I mean, okay, one guy is not talking at all. I think he said like 2 words the whole time.
He only knows 2 Kings, one verse.
But that guy in the middle and then Itachi, they're so annoying.
I mean, it might be my flesh talking, but I understand where 434 came from. If this is how you're arguing in your house, honestly, you're saying the thing and its opposite.
No, I mean, think about this. This is a debate about the Islamic dilemma, and it seems to be, let's go down every weird trail we can that doesn't address the problem.
Waraka, the first initial point that you made, when you made it about Waraka, okay, what you asked is, does anything in the Torah say that?
That's not what I asked.
That's literally what you said at the beginning. So we're talking about the Torah, which is why I mentioned
this is why she's going off on a diatribe, and I tried to stop her because when I asked, she said, when I was about to make my point, that's all good. When I was making my point, Itachi, in the middle of me making my point, you interrupted me and said, can you repeat what I said? Did you say that? Yes or no? Just
because of what? Because you
notice you can't. You're not capable.
This is freaking annoying. He's asked her a simple question. Did you?
That's what I'm saying.
Let me just keep talking. Weren't you the one? Oh my goodness, this is crazy.
You're not capable of even answering straight away, Itachi. You're not capable.
But we're trying to get to the main point.
Thank you. Yeah. So I know. You're incapable.
I'm about to fast forward this unless.
Oh my goodness.
Unless
Where's the moderator?
Yeah.
Where's the moderator?
Here, he's
right there sitting in the middle.
Okay.
Why is he not doing anything? Sorry.
Yeah, if they don't let God Logic actually finish his point, this has all been them not letting God Logic finish his point. And it's like, okay,
because
I'm about to fast forward
if they point, what will happen?
Answering straight away. Please stop.
Is it a true contradiction, or was it simply apparent according to what you were saying?
Okay, listen, please.
So Itachi, here's your double talk. Man. At first you said that Waraka is getting it from Jewish traditions. Then I just asked, then you just contradicted yourself and said, I didn't say that he was getting it from Jewish traditions. I don't know what you're doing here. So either make up your mind.
She doesn't either, I don't
and
think so.
Either he was getting it from Jewish traditions, he made it up, or he's getting it from the Torah. Where did he get it from is the question. That's number one. Number two, your Quran is very clear that it wasn't an angel, It wasn't nobody else that appeared to Moses. Other people he speaks into in dreams, but with Moses, he spoke to directly. It was not the angel Gabriel. So was Warwick correct when he said that the same angel that appeared to Moses is the same angel that appeared to you? Is he correct, yes or no?
Okay. Do I get to speak now?
Yeah,
Are you gonna? Is she gonna answer?
It's our turn to speak.
Okay.
All right, yeah. So first of all, what I was saying is.
Yes or no and expound.
Oh my gosh.
Answer and expound.
Hey, brother. Come on, man.
I know
Answer
you're busy.
and
You're doing all these
expound.
layman
It's her turn.
Muslim. Let me
Yeah.
speak.
She
man.
said she was gonna
Okay.
answer though.
Yeah.
Okay.
So first of all, no, that's not what
Thank
I
you for
said.
the answer.
Oh my
Okay,
God.
there we go. Okay, now keep going, please.
So when it comes to what I did say, okay, I said that Waraka is not mistaken because what we find is that there are Jewish traditions that say the same thing. I never said Waraka himself gets it from a Jewish tradition. Okay, so track. All right. Now, when it comes to the Quran, what it says is that Allah spoke directly to Musa alayhi salam. Okay, that does not negate what Waraka is saying, and it does not negate what the Torah, or sorry, the specifically the oral tradition is saying regarding other angels being in the vicinity. Because the Jews also hold that Moses spoke directly to God, but they also hold that there were Jews that were in the vicinity of the burning bush. So that's not. It's not a point. Yes, there are Jews that say that in the Midrash, in the.
That the Jews were there?
No, not the Jews. The
You
angels.
just said
Angels.
Okay, okay, got
Well,
you.
let's get back to the main point. Okay.
Were you finished with your point?
I am finished.
Okay, perfect.
This is just getting to our point about Muhammad not getting this stuff from the prior scriptures.
Exactly.
He's getting it from he's hearing
tradition.
stories from rabbis, from tradition. This is why Surah 9 calls him the ear.
Yep.
He's not getting this stuff from the scriptures, and we know that because you agree with us. There are so many contradictions. So this just makes far more sense. He's getting all these stories from various rabbis, traditions, midrash he's hearing, not from the scriptures. And that's why we know the Quran is false, because it's not, it says it's confirming the prior scriptures, but contradicting them. Why? Because it thinks those stories, those things from the midrash, from the Talmud that he's getting are actually in the scriptures. A God who is omniscient would not make such a...
What the heck are they nodding for?
They don't know how to you know how like when you do active listening, you're like they're like beautiful, and then they're nodding and like they don't know like social interaction and cues, and it's just.
But why is the final messenger, the final everything, the perfect everything, getting his information from Waraqah and Jewish tradition? Doesn't he have a direct link to Allah where the angel can tell him what's what? Why does he then have to decompress with Waraqah? What is it that came to me? Oh yeah, it's the same thing. Let me look into the Jewish tradition, which isn't scripture, just Jewish tradition. Let's look to the Jews, see what they think. It might have been the angels in the vicinity of Moses too.
Yeah. Also,
he could have been wrong.
She was also saying that he wasn't mistaken because there are Jews that say the same thing. That doesn't follow. Just because you're saying something like Jews also doesn't mean that you're not mistaken.
Yeah, and does that mean that Jewish tradition is now her authority?
Yeah.
Because Waraka said it, so that must mean the Jewish tradition, because he got it from there, that's fact. Because, you know, some Jewish tradition says that the Virgin Mary wasn't a virgin. Is that their authority?
Ridiculous mistake.
Beautiful, amazing. So I want to pick up back on that from the point that Avery made, that the only way that his argument followed regarding Abdullah bin Salam is...
I think we're going to go ahead and fast forward to the end here. I'm assuming there was some... did they give some sort of final concluding remarks here? I'll go ahead and back it up a little bit from the end. We'll see if they gave some sort of summary at the end. Let's see. Hey, you got the other guy talking.
Understanding. So we went through that, and then after demonstrating how these scholars view that,
he said we went through, so that sounds like he's recapping. So
okay,
we back up a little here.
Oh wait. This is the part where they get their phones out and they're looking it up. Okay, so yeah, wait. This might be the spot we want to cover this. They're talking about whether Muhammad was. They denied that Mujahid said that Muhammad is actually the Muhammad, the guardian.
Whoa, they denied that?
So
we've been using that for a while.
Yeah, so you see he's got his phone out there. So I think this might be the segment, and I think Avery's got
out his iPad out there.
They're trying to look up references for this, yeah. And yeah. Okay, I think it's around here.
Okay, let me continue backing up. Just trying to see where they start this. Okay, let me go and start here.
Okay, when it says Joseph in the time of XYZ, we know that this is the Joseph that is the son of Jacob, etc., because the Quran outlines that very clearly. Okay, then there are certain instances or points in those particular stories that the Quran, obviously, it does not agree with regards to the narrative, or at least it doesn't take regarding what that narrative is from the prior scriptures. Okay, now, what I was saying way back in the beginning is that a better way to know whether or not a revelation is from God, because as was kind of proven throughout this entire discussion.
Oh, is this when she was going into her own criteria of what we should be discussing rather than actual quotes from the verses and stuff?
That this was going to end up being tangential and not get a conclusion or anything. A better way to go about this is to establish a type of criteria for what a revelation from God would look like. Okay, not dependent on any particular scripture or anything of the sort. Rather, it stands independent of Christianity, independent of Islam, and we look at that criteria and we...
What the heck is this? Let me come up with
that's like criteria. The dumbest thing.
Yeah, criteria for what I would imagine a scripture, a revelation from God to be like. I think it would affirm the inspiration, preservation, and authority of scriptures that contradicted. That would be my main criterion.
Oh, yeah, that's it.
Can compare the two, whatever scriptures that we want to talk about, or any one scripture in regards to that criteria that can be established, right? Because that's going to get us somewhere as opposed to arguing interpretation. Because even with regards to what they're talking about now, and you a little bit as well, when it comes to this conscious edits thing, they already understand and affirm the fact that there are scholars that do take the position that the Quran does not affirm the scriptures wholeheartedly, okay? And even those scholars that they're claiming that they affirm it or anything of the sort, they don't affirm it in the sense that the Jews affirm it, right? They affirm it in the sense, they affirm it in the sense of...
Read it out.
It was there.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm almost done, sorry.
We can do this point and then close theirs?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, they affirm it in the sense that specifically when it comes to these passages or anything before, they still do affirm a level or a sense of textual corruption, but they say it's very minimal. Okay.
Who says it's minimal?
There's, I believe Bukhari, if I'm not mistaken, Ibn Taymiyyah says
minimal.
What was that?
Saying what is minimal?
Ibn Taymiyyah, he says specifically that the Torah corruption would be minimal, right? He believes there's still textual corruption, but it is minimal.
Do you think it's minimal?
When it comes to the Torah specifically?
Yes.
I wouldn't take that position, though.
Okay, so why are you bringing this up again?
But my point, I'm saying that was what they're trying to appeal to, right? Is that they know that there's two positions, okay? Yet those two positions don't necessarily...
There's actually not two positions. I don't know why they always say that. Muhammad Hijab said the same thing. You go to the books that they're talking about, like when she says what Ibn Taymiyyah's position is, there's actually 4 positions. Ibn Taymiyyah lays out 4 positions for this. There's not 2 positions. But I think it's about to come up right at when she's done yapping here. They're going to bring it up, so...
us here or there, okay? Neither one of them actually disproves Islam. It's only going to end up being, a tangential topic. So when we're talking, which was the entire topic of the conversation, by the way, is the Quran revelation or the final revelation, we want to have some sort of objective criteria that we could look at, or at least to some extent a criteria that we could, talk about in general.
That has nothing to do with my point, but
let's get to this.
Yeah, let's get to this, and then we're going to do closing statements.
All right, so he's going to make his point about this thing. I'm going to get to respond to it and show how much of it, slow he is, and then we can finish up. Go ahead.
Ooh.
All right, it's going to show how
slow he is. I love when they get so arrogant because that guy's the one who's going to make a mistake. I don't know why this always happens. Like even with Cora, with her response
why
to
was
you,
the need for an insult?
they always start insulting and get arrogant, and then they are the ones who make tons of mistakes. It's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's go.
This is right in Ibn Kathir's Tafsir 548, which you guys didn't want to read.
Yeah.
What paragraph?
It's okay.
Okay.
It says this. Are you affirming that this is here?
No, I'm saying I'm waiting for you to say it so I can show you how intellectual.
So you don't know if it's here or not?
You are. Got it. Go ahead, say the point.
As for what Ibn Abi Hatim
I confirm it in general.
Narrated from Ikrimah, Sa'id ibn Jubair, Atal Khorasani, and Ibn Abi Naji on the authority of Mujahid that they said regarding his statement and a Muhammad over it, meaning Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, is the Muhammad over the Quran, over it.
Real quick,
and Ibn Kathir goes on to say, this is correct in meaning. If they mean that Muhammad is the trustee over the Quran, then this is correct in meaning. But there is room for consideration in interpreting it in interpreting this in this way. And there is also room for consideration in its revelation to him from an Arabic perspective. So he's even saying that, yeah, they have credence to interpret it this way.
Beautiful.
So
I'm going to respond now.
So he's going to say that's what Mujahid didn't say, that Muhammad is the Muhammad over the Quran?
If I remember correctly, like I said, I was just watching Elijah's review of it, and if I remember correctly, that's what he said.
Everyone who's new here, there's actually something to learn if you're going to be interacting with Muslims. Just this whole discussion over Muhammad. It's for Muslims who still want to go to the Quran to claim, no, the Quran does say that the previous scriptures are corrupted. They only have a couple of verses they can even try to go to. None of them say what they actually need the Quran to say. And so you just have to familiarize yourselves with the verses. But it's Surah 5, verse 48, which says that the Quran confirms the previous scriptures, but it also says, and a muhaymin over it, over the previous book would be the normal interpretation. But you've got Allah and Muhammad and the Quran, and then it says a muhaymin over it. And so what does muhaymin actually, what's the muhaymin? Is it the Quran over the Bible, or is it Muhammad over the Quran, or is it Allah over something? You have Muslims making various arguments there. So anyway, the point here is how Muslims want to interpret muhaymin is it's a corrector of the previous scriptures, or that it's a supreme authority over the previous scriptures. Meaning if the previous scriptures say something different, then the Quran is correcting those things. I want to say something like that, that's what it means. Problem is, there's no way that's what it meant. There's no way that's what it meant. Why? Because you had certain early Muslims who interpreted it as Muhammad is the muhaymin over the Quran. And so you're just talking about the range of like meanings that muhaymin could have had in early Islam. If muhaymin was understood as corrector or supreme authority over, no one would have ever said Muhammad is the muhaymin over the Quran. That would mean that Muhammad is a higher authority than Allah's word. So you would have been regarded as a heretic or an apostate for saying something like that. But even when Muslims said, no, Mujahid got this wrong, they don't say, oh, he's an obvious heretic for saying that Muhammad is a greater authority than Allah, right? Which meant they didn't interpret the meaning of the word like that. They didn't think that's what it could possibly mean. And so for Muslims today who are desperate to respond to the Islamic dilemma, and they say, oh, the word meant this, they're not making any sense because it couldn't have possibly meant that back then. There, and that's kind of the point. All right.
Do you affirm that?
I disagree with you completely.
So Mujahid doesn't say that Muhammad is the Muhammad?
I got you. So Avery's claim is that Ibn Kathir and Mujahid affirmed this specific meaning. Now watch this.
No, Mujahid did. You could say Ibn Kathir says, well, that this meaning, you could go with this meaning, but he's not, as far as I know, he's not interpreting it in the same way.
But it's in the Arabic. So now I'll do your homework. Now I'm going to close it up on you. It says, فَأَمَّا مَا حَكَى. So in the Arabic means from what they say. And then it says عن أبي ابن حاتم عن عكرمة وسعيد بن جبير وعطاء الخرساني وابن أبي نجيش عن مجاهد أنهم قالوا.
Wait, did he just say
meaning
Najish?
that Ibn Mujahid narrated the chain.
Go back. Did he just say Najish? Go back to how I want to hear. We have it up in front of us. I'm just reading along with them.
Yeah, I made a mistake.
This guy cannot read. You can't read like Uthman says.
Najih.
Yeah.
Not Ajih.
Yeah.
Yeah, he made a mistake.
Yeah.
Let's see.
ابن حاتم عن عكرمة وسعيد بن جبير وعطاء الخرساني وابن أبي نجيش عن مجاهد أنهم قالوا. Meaning that Ibn Mujahid narrated a chain of people who said this. Guess what, Avery? This doesn't mean that it's Mujahid himself who believed this. Why? Because in the same tafsir, Mujahid already gave his opinion. Let's go to that. It says from Mujahid here, it says وروى عن عكرمة وسعيد بن جرير ومجاهد ومحمد بن كعب وعطية والحسن وقتادة وعطاء الخرساني والسدي وابن أبي زيد نحو ذلك. So already tells us that Mujahid.
Did he just say a Siddi? Remember that Yemeni guy? He said the same thing.
Suddi.
It's Suddi. Oh my gosh, guys, I'm not joking. Their Arabic is terrible. What the heck? This guy can't even read basic names.
Anyway, he's trying to school people in Arabic, but let's see what he says.
Okay, we'll let him make his case, but this is so bad. He's completely wrong.
By the way, guys, this would be a popular sort of, after every debate, you could just go through and point out all the little Arabic issues.
Yeah. It's bad.
Yeah, it's really
bad.
explain how they're getting things wrong and how they don't know how to pronounce things and so
I can't believe he thinks that that Mujahid is narrating these things. It's like he's saying this is what they're saying or something. No, this is Mujahid's view.
Yeah, and we've got it.
Tabari as well.
Tabari says it that this is Mujahid's
Qurtubi as well.
Muhammad is the Muhammad.
Yeah,
we have it.
It's in Qurtubi too.
And Qurtubi as well. Exactly.
Yeah, and by the way, guys, when I suggest after every one of these kinds of debates, you just go through and correct all the little Arabic because that's one of their go-to moves is say, but the Arabic, and they toss in all kinds of nonsense, but they're talking to non-Arabic speakers, and therefore they can get away with things. If every time they pulled this stunt, it led to embarrassment right after the debate, then it would probably incline them to be more careful and not be so sloppy.
And how about not be so rude?
Yeah.
And say to Avery, "Oh, you're slow." Or, I'm going to school
the intellect.
You. I'm going to close it on you.
Especially when he's wrong about Mujahid here.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
This doesn't mean that it's Mujahid himself who believed this.
Oops.
Why? Because in the same tafsir, Mujahid already gave his opinion. Let's go to that. It says from Mujahid here, it says وروى عن عكرمة وسعيد بن جرير ومجاهد ومحمد بن كعب وعطية والحسن وقتادة وعطاء الخرساني والسدي وابن أبي زيد نحو ذلك. So it already tells us that Mujahid believed that it's about him being the Quran being a witness. It tells us Mujahid's position. Later it says that Mujahid narrated out.
That doesn't refute the point. Their positions.
He said likewise.
He didn't read the sentence before it. The sentence before it is saying, Ali is saying that this is what Ibn Abbas said. Ibn Abbas said that al-Muhaymin means al-Amin,
which means the trustworthy.
Which means the trustworthy.
Yeah.
And then it says, and he said that the Quran is a guardian over the previous books. And then it says, all the names that he just mentioned, which he read their names wrong, they said something similar to that.
Like it.
But then you go down to what he was trying to read before. He didn't finish it. Yeah. And that's the something similar. They were saying that was about Muhammad, though.
Yeah, so the something similar is, yes, it's trustworthy. The word means trustworthy, but it's Muhammad who's trustworthy over the Quran.
Yeah.
So the something similar is that they agree that Al-Amin,
like the meaning,
the trustworthy is it, but that Muhammad is the trustworthy.
Yeah.
We have very clear statements in Tabari that say Mujahid says Muhammad is Al-Mu'taman ala al-Quran.
Yes, it's clear.
The trustworthy, which over the Quran. Yeah. And we can show that now if you like by sharing the screen.
Okay, let's let Tachi. She's gonna try reading it now, and or maybe not now, but she's gonna try reading it, and then we'll show the sources.
The point is Mujahid does say it.
Yeah,
that's the point.
Yeah, all he did was go. All these guys say the word means this. Okay, yeah, but is that word being applied to Muhammad or to the Quran? That was the issue. You had to show, if you want to show Avery's wrong, you have to show that Mujahid said, no, Muhammad's not the Muhammad. It's the Quran that's the Muhammad. That is something you didn't show at all right there. This is this is dumb.
About this, that a group of people believe this, not that he himself believed it. So thank you so much. You buried yourself.
Can I say something here?
And we'll go to closing.
Yeah, sure. So this is why it's important here. Number one, thank you for giving different people who are saying that Mujahid says different things. That's all you just showed. Was that people say that Mujahid says different things.
Gosh.
Yes, here it is. Notice how they have to interrupt.
You can have it.
Notice how they have to interrupt it because they don't even understand their own sources. This is on the authority of Mujahid.
He's narrating.
This is on them, and guess what? And does Ibn Kathir agree with this?
No.
Does Ibn
Mujahid believe this?
Does Ibn Kathir agree with this?
Does Mujahid believe this?
Notice how you can't answer.
Nice try.
Does Ibn Kathir agree with this?
Finish up.
Does Ibn Kathir agree with this?
Finish up, bro.
Yeah, I thought so. I thought so.
Yeah.
So watch this. Ibn Kathir says that this is correct in meaning. So Ibn Kathir affirms that Muhammad is also Muhaymin over the Quran. And so if our friends are correct, that Muhaymin means supreme authority and corrector over something, then you have to agree that Muhammad is the supreme authority and corrector over your Quran. MashaAllah.
You put scholars across.
Okay, who wants?
Dawa, shirk,
wait till she's
do, shirk. They all just committed massive shirk. Allah is the servant of Muhammad, who is the real supreme authority over him.
The close on your side.
We can begin close and then we can have the close, no problem.
Okay.
So I just want
During
to
the
quick.
same debate?
Uh-huh.
The second part of the review, wasn't it?
Yeah,
We're next, yeah. So again, notice how his initial claim was that...
Is this a closing?
Yeah.
Okay.
So just to wrap it up.
So I think that she tried to read it before.
Yeah, before.
And then okay, so then Avery was probably looking up the source while Bell was talking, and then he pulled it up afterwards. So okay, yeah, because I was listening to the review from Elijah, but in my mind it all happened at the same time, but it was like different places. But yeah, so we don't have to go through that part. But Itachi tries to read it, she butchers it, and she mistranslates it. But we can go through it real quick.
We'll show it on the screen from Tabari, so we show what Mujahid actually say.
Yeah.
And I want the Arabs there to put them to take them to account on this, because it's very, very obvious.
Yeah, so I'll just share the screen. This is going to be. We'll put it on the screen, but then we'll just translate it, because this is not the translation. This is just the original Arabic. But this is the Tafsir al-Tabari, and we're gonna just quickly go through this, and then I have a couple other sources that I want to go through because. So go ahead.
So the green is the word for Mujahid, an Mujahid, from Mujahid, wa muhaiminan alayhi, the quote. Muhammad.
Yeah.
He means the Muhaymin is Muhammad.
Yeah.
There's the sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Peace be upon him. Mu'tamanun ala al-Quran.
Yeah.
Trustworthy over the Quran. So there you go, in black and white. Tabari says, Mujahid says, Muhaymin, according to Mujahid, is Muhammad over the Quran.
And then next one right
and
there.
Right here, another narration,
Yeah.
right, from other people saying the same thing. Mujahid,
he said,
Mujahid, he said, Muhammad is mu'taman, trustworthy over the Quran.
And then when Al-Tabari responds, he's responding to Mujahid. So Al-Tabari is giving like a grammatical kind of response for the verse. It's going to go way over Itachi's head and this other guy's head. They don't even know how to read basic Arabic. But basically, he's responding to Mujahid. He's not responding to anyone else. He's responding to Mujahid.
And it's the interpretation of what? Muhaymin. That's the red there. That's the word Muhaymin and alayhi.
Yeah. Now I want to. We'll keep it up on the screen because there's another. I want to put Ibn Kathir up there now, and we'll just show you guys Ibn Kathir now, and we'll put that. So this is Ibn Kathir. Okay, Ibn Kathir. And we go down. This is what was the original statement here, which is that Ibn Abbas said that al-Muhaymin means al-Amin, the trustworthy.
Yeah.
And then Ibn Abbas, he said that the Quran is a guardian over the previous books. And then it goes on to say, names a list of people that he just named, that they said something similar. Well, you scroll down, this is something similar that they said, which is what? That Muhammad is a guardian over the Quran. Ibn Kathir says this is sahih, correct according to the meaning. The meaning is correct. But then he goes on to say that, but if you want to interpret the verse like this, well, we need to kind of inspect it a little bit. And then he basically repeats the same argument that Al-Tabari makes. But there's more. So now let's go to another commentary here. This is Al-Baghawi. And he gives Hassan, who says what? That he says that that the Quran, the Kitab, is the Muhaymin to Muhammad.
Wow.
So now, so you have, is the Quran a guardian over the previous scriptures, or is Muhammad a guardian to the Quran? Well, he's saying that the Quran is a guardian to Muhammad, and then Al-Baghawi kind of clarifies what he means is that it's like a witness and a confirmer to Muhammad, and he says that those the people of intellect.
Yeah.
That they know the truth of
so
this.
the Arabic says إن الكتاب مهيمن لنبينا. So you should know what nabi means. Nabi means prophet. Muhaymin. So the kitab, the book, is muhaymin to the nabi, to the prophet. Meaning shahidan, a witness. Wa musaddaqan, also you should know musaddaqan, a confirmer. So here he's saying the muhaymin.
So the Quran itself.
Not a corrector. To the nabi.
Imagine that the Quran's correcting Muhammad. Is that what Muslims believe?
But here he's actually saying what it is in the green, a witness and a confirmer.
Yep. And let me think. Do we have anything else that we want to share on that?
Well, we could do a video about what Atashi said. She said, Amin.
Means over. It means over the...
take her over.
Yeah.
Which is terrible.
Take her over or something like that.
Hey. That's
okay.
Bad,
yeah, that's basically it.
Even I know what Al-Amin means.
To show on the screen.
Okay, yeah, that's basically it, David, for now.
Good.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. All right.
Thank you.
All right, let's go back because there's they're at the end. They apparently give short little summaries or whatever. But let's see.
They are very, like, obviously he doesn't know the resources, and he made a mistake because he made a claim that Ibn Kathir and Mujahid affirmed this position. The same tafsir that he went to said that Mujahid already believed in a different position, and that he's simply narrating what others believed. Amma hakahu.
How bad is this, Jai?
It's completely wrong and it's very easily debunkable.
Yeah.
It's so easily debunkable.
This is a good video to make, guys. This is a good video.
Yeah, we gotta make. I mean,
I've been writing
we already
down
have the
everything.
sources right in front of us right now. We could literally, right after the stream, we could just literally just hit record and just go over it because it's so clear. Like you said Al-Qurtubi as well, Al-Tabari, Ibn Kathir, etc.
It's in black and white.
They're all over the place saying this is Mujahid's view.
Mujahid says, and they do the Muhammad, peace be upon him, long thing that he's the Muhammad.
Yeah, and then when Al-Tabari is responding, and let me just make sure, Ibn Kathir, Ibn Kathir as well. He's saying the same thing. He's talking about Al-Tabari's response to Mujahid.
Yeah.
So this is Mujahid's view, and it's also their view, according to this reference in Ibn Kathir. But this is a response to Mujahid by
even when
Al-Tabari.
Al-Tabari, when he disagrees with Mujahid, he doesn't say, "Oh, it means corrector actually," or it means supreme authority.
Yeah.
No, he takes another view that it's confirmer.
Right.
Not trustworthy over, but confirmer.
Right.
Like it's all like good to do with the Bible. It's never saying, "Oh no, it's corrector, supreme authority." We never see this anywhere until modern Muslims start saying this nonsense, and modern translations start saying this.
So basically, like as we said before, like the view according to Ibn Kathir is correct, that Muhammad is a guardian or Muhammad over the Quran, but he's saying that, but that's not derived from this verse. That's all he's saying. But he's saying that it is true that Muhammad is Muhammad over the Quran. So if Muhammad means corrector, editor, conscious editor, general confirmer, whatever. No, well, they're not saying general confirmer for that word, but you know what I'm trying to say. Like that is going to be Muhammad
supreme
over the Quran.
Authority over.
Yeah, supreme leader.
Yeah.
He's a supreme leader. Yeah. So
it's like if I say, Jesus is my guide, that's true in meaning. But
let's say you derive it from like a wrong verse.
But if I bring another verse that says something else about Jesus, you say no, not this one, not this verse. That's all that Tabari was saying.
Yeah.
And Ibn Kathir.
From what Ibn Mujahid himself believed. I'm gonna let you guys finish up with the closing. Go ahead. What do you want to say?
Yeah, for me, closing, I'm going to say that
hey, who's this guy?
Y'all were just jumping around from scholar to Allah, whenever you please. We brought up how Gabriel said Reynolds interprets things, and then IP says, let's just grant his understanding. So we went through that, and then after demonstrating how these scholars view that, you guys just wanted to reject it and go, well, we're Team Allah. So then once I quoted Allah only by the Quran, 544 to 448 to 50, and 68, and even 1094, that would be for us, not for you. Yeah, it's for us because it's talking about Muslims. I don't want to be too long. You guys just didn't accept this, and you went to scholars.
Oh gosh, we should have watched this beforehand and,
pulled
out all these awesome parts. Because we just kind of ended up jumping around. But yeah, apparently they did have some. What? That's crazy. He just said all the last places in the Quran I would go to if I was trying to respond to the Islamic dilemma, and then saying some crazy interpretations of them. So, interesting. Yeah, you guys might have to make some videos. I might have to make a couple of videos if it's on.
Yeah, we might also make some videos.
Yeah. And you went back to scholars. Oh, let's just quote some other scholars now instead of Allah when you were Team Allah a second ago.
So he's admitting that Team Allah is different than Team Scholars?
Oh.
So Team Allah is not Team Scholars. Thank you, Mr. Muslim.
So your scholars are team versus Allah, against Allah.
Team
the opposite.
So team
they're on the
Allah
field.
is on
They're on the
side,
field. Yeah. There's Allah, he's on the field, but he's going against Team Scholars.
Wow.
They're having a huge
team
battle.
Like England and Norway. Pick one.
Agreed and acknowledged with the fact that there are two different positions when it comes to this. One position is not more right or wrong than the other, appealing to one particular scholar who says that, oh, the other scholars don't actually say anything in regards to evidence, but they actually do. For example, Ibn Abbas, which I mentioned to you in the beginning, he very much does give evidence in regards to the corruption or the idea of corruption in regards to your text. So you acknowledge the fact that there are two positions. Ergo, there's not going to actually be an Islamic dilemma if one is not, bound by the particular presentation that you guys are giving for it. So, very simple.
Are you going to close out?
Yeah, sure. Love what you said earlier about we need a criterion. Let's just go with the Quran's criteria.
The croutons? Is he hungry? Did he just have a salad? The croutons. That's actually a funny word for Quran. Crouton, salad, 7.
If this had not been from Allah, they would have found many contradictions in it. That's our whole point. There are so many contradictions. It's constantly saying, I'm confirming your scriptures, and then contradicting what is in our scriptures. And notice what they have to do constantly. They have to go, well, let's go to these scholars, and they'll go reinterpret it. That's the problem again, because at that point, now they're saying the Quran is wrong when it claims to be clear, fully detailed in Surah 12, 111, when it claims to be the verses are perfected and then fully explained. They're telling you the Quran is wrong. So you have to bring in scholars to rescue what the Quran is saying, because it doesn't actually say that stuff. This is exactly why we know the Quran is not the final revelation from God. And I would have expected at some point in this conversation for them to want to veer towards evidence, but they can't because there isn't any.
The evidence that we have based on the Quran is that the Quran fully affirms the testimony, the preservation, the authority of the previous scriptures. And what we did is that we did both things. We appealed to Quran. They like to appeal to scholars. Then we use scholars. They ask why we're using scholars. This is it's the double talk of this religion.
I have to say, we didn't watch a lot of this, but that's pretty common, right? They say we say there's an Islamic dilemma. We quote the Quran. Then they won't be able to go to a Quran verse that says what they want, because there's nothing that refutes the Islamic dilemma in the Quran. So what they'll have to do is they'll go to a Quran verse and say, this later scholar from 1,000 years later said that what this verse means. And then, you're going to scholars. So then we go to scholars to respond to that. And then what do? Oh, well, you're going to scholars instead of to Allah. And they'll just complain no matter what you do. Anyway, it's pretty screwed up.
The time with this Islamic position. Nowhere ever do you ever see the Quran picking out the scripture itself and correcting what is in the scripture, or claiming to correct what's in the scripture. What we see is the Quran disagreeing with what it claims to confirm. And not only this, it's not just Ibn Kathir that says this about Muhammad being Muhammad. Al-Tabari also says this. Al-Tabari in chapter 5, verse 48, he said,
what the heck is this dude laughing at? Do you not realize... This is so stupid. He is so...
Yeah, they just don't know.
No, they either just... But it's like they don't care. It's always whatever I need to say in the moment to undermine this point. I don't care if I'm exposed as a liar 2 days from now. I don't care at all. As long as I seem like I'm in a position of strength and mocking this person's lack of understanding here. That's all that matters. Don't care at all if I get exposed as a liar later on. But my goodness.
Oh yeah, it's that short-term victory, short-term gain kind of thing. Like, okay, in the moment, Avery had the sources and he actually had like the correct translation of what he was saying. But let's say in theory, he couldn't have pulled everything up. I remember they were asking him for another reference he made. Again, listening back to Elijah's stream last night for his review, they were like, what's the name of the book? What's the name of the book? And he's like, I'm telling you the name of the scholar. I don't have the book memorized. It's like an Arabic title. I don't know the name of the title. They're like, well, what's the title? What's the page number? And this is like short term kind of like
yeah, because we can pull the whole thing up next day. Like,
exactly. It's like they're just doing it in the moment. They're trying to get.
It doesn't help you to do a gotcha now.
Yeah.
If someone can't remember the title and the page number, do it tomorrow.
And Avery ended up bringing it up though. He ended up bringing it up later on. But the point is like they try to get these like short term kind of like goals or whatever, but they end up turning into failures because they're lying or they're just not telling the truth.
And this is Dawah's always been like this, this short-term thing. But I think the TikTok Dawah has really just all they care about is a little 10-second clip. They don't care about anything else in the entire world.
Yeah.
And in fact, they don't mind going into a debate, getting completely cooked for two hours as long as they get their 12-second TikTok clip.
Yeah.
And then they're all
like,
happy.
When Avery got up, like they showed the part of him getting up, but they didn't show the part of him coming back, sitting back down 3 seconds later. Mm-hmm. Like that's what like anyone could just click on the timestamp or whatever and be like, wait, okay, he got up here, and then they're gonna assume he just walked away and never came back. He came back 3 seconds later.
I wonder if they just catering to the Muslims who only watch them and they don't watch us.
Of course.
Yeah. Short term.
And as a Muhammad over it, meaning we have revealed the book which we sent down to you, O Muhammad, as confirming before it as a witness over them that they are true from Allah, as a trustworthy over them, preserving them. Right. So notice Tabari doesn't take this meaning to be a supreme authority, a corrector, but a witness to the scriptures. Right. Notice this. When we're talking about what the Quran says over and over again, the Quran says, if you're in doubt, come to us. That's chapter 10, verse 94. That's chapter, slipping my chapter 21, I believe it is.
21:7.
Yep, 21:7. Chapter 16, verse 43. 16. If you don't know about what the revelation that the Quran is talking about, you got to come to the people of the book. Come to us so that you can get the truth about what your Quran is saying. Unfortunately, your Quran contradicts what we have, and therefore, the Quran is false and not a revelation from God.
Yeah. Thanks, Avery. And even if we concede the point, for argument's sake, that yes, the Quran is correcting the scriptures, that claim, I'm trying to show you guys that, okay, that's a claim you're making, but that claim comes with so many consequences and repercussions, okay? You have to say that...
I love the consequences and repercussions.
They don't know the meaning of those words.
I think... Is that what Eddie Murphy said in Life when he was in prison? And the guy said, I want to eat your cornbread. And I think he said something like, anyone who wants to take my cornbread is going to have to deal with consequences and repercussions. That would be funny if she's actually got it from there.
Someone changed all of those details and corrected it. Do you guys hear what I'm saying? So it's correcting thousands and thousands of irreconcilable differences. They can't even flow together. You can't even kind of make it work. Thousands. And so somebody in history changed the original, the Quran's version of the Torah, thousands of intentional ways. And to this day, we do not have a single Torah manuscript in any language, in anywhere in the world, that corroborates the details that are in the Quran's version of the Torah. And then you brought up I don't know if you hold to the Medinian Torah theory, some people do, that's fine. That is like the most impressive thing I've heard thus far. And even then, what I would do if you hold to the Medinian Torah theory, because clearly there was something in Medina or Mecca that had the same details as the Quran's version of the Torah, I would spend all the money from the Hajj pilgrimage and do a massive excavation of Saudi Arabia to find one manuscript of a Torah corroborating the details in the Quran, in contrast to our version of the Torah. If you find that for me, I will take my shahada.
Beautiful. That was awesome.
You won't find it.
She said, do that for me. I'll take my shahada.
Wow.
Oh, man.
Notice the difference of how the Christians bring a point and expand over it. And then the Muslims, like the lady, Niqabi, just word salad.
Yeah. I didn't say that. I did say that. Yes, no, yes, no.
Christians bring reference this, surah this, mujahid this, tabari this, manuscript this, logical points. Yeah. It's just, and the Muslims will come out and say, oh, the Christians lost.
Yeah. Every rage quit. They
he walked around the chair. That must mean he concedes.
Yeah, and then so the dude in the middle was just giving him the benefit of the doubt. He's he doesn't understand words, right?
Yeah, he's like illiterate.
He's barely he can't comprehend what he's reading because that under no circumstances did that agree with him. So giving him the most charitable interpretation would be he can't comprehend basic words. The less charitable interpretation would be he's deliberately being deceptive. But that's what you got. True. And then the word salad from Itachi, and it's okay. This is dawa, and this is what a Muslim. Oh yeah, they cooked you. Oh, this is crazy stuff. All right, let's take these last super chats. We need a series with DOC reacting to every Donald and Connell. It would be excellent content. That's from Lutheran Satire. He has Donald and Connell.
Oh, yeah. I'm going to have to show you the. Oh, maybe we should just do it live one day. We'll just go live and I'll have you react live.
Who is this Donald and Connell?
It's the satire thing.
Yeah, these. Hey, Patrick. Yeah, Patrick. What do you say, Patrick? And they're these two guys. Most clear thing about Muhammad is when Al-Zut descendants talking about him 100 years later. They're still talking about him today. Why did any of the early caliphate preserve some of these uncorrupted Torah or Injil when conquering the 7th century Christian world? Whose fault is it that we don't have these fictional texts? Yeah, that would apply to the John Fontaine argument that they had a Torah and gospel there, they were correct, and so on. It's like, okay, you guys took over. Why did you not preserve those? Especially when the Quran says that's your main evidence for Islam. This debate has been living on my front page feed since it went live, but I've been avoiding it because I didn't feel like dealing with an aneurysm. God bless you all for putting up with this crap. Got to do it. At the end, Itachi tried to mistranslate a word, tafsir. God Logic caught her red-handed and corrected her.
She did. Oh, so she did it twice. So we're gonna have to look through all the Arabic because she seems to make a lot of mistakes in the Arabic. We actually saw one other video from her before, and she completely butchered the Arabic there too. So
yeah, she. Do you know that verse that says the water comes gushing out of the backbone and ribs? The word for gushing is dafiq with a qaf, dafiq in Arabic. There's another word in Arabic, dafiq with a sound at the end that means warm.
And so she mixed the two meanings. So she said it's warm water.
So she thought the fluid was warm, not that it was gushing.
Oh, powerful dawah right there.
That's the kind of level we're talking about.
Yep.
Yeah, guys, those will all be, any of that will be good videos. Mm-hmm. Say in shirkly, like indubitably. Oh, instead of perfect, or just say in shirkly. In shirkly, indubitably. Anyways, this is what Muslims had to do. Early damage control for. Yeah, that seems like why they tried to get it out first. Those who converted to Islam after being conquered were the ones who were not putting Jesus' words into practice. They were not building their house on the rock. The storm came and their house fell. Filibuster is a trained anti-interrogation tactic. Thanks for the great work all of you have done to expose Islam. I'm a counter-cult apologist and was a former leader in a South Korean cult, Mother God cult. Thanks to Jesus, I was able to escape. That's good.
That's amazing.
Tough to get out of a cult. Muhammad, supreme authority equals supreme authority was the argument. That is a terrible argument. Yeah, you go to your earlier commentaries, doesn't work.
Nope.
And then even if you say, well, who cares? I can just say it means that. You just made some early Muslims total heretics. So hope it's worth it. Anyway, Weasel Ninja looks like the rejected Mortal Kombat fighter Zut Zero. Zut Zero. There is no such character. Scythe is better known as Count Chocula. Oh, he does kind of talk like that.
That's going to be Sipes' cousin.
Yeah. Please go through after debates and expose the Arabic.
We'll do that. Yeah, we're
going to record it.
Yeah.
125:45 timestamp for Itachi.
Oh, is that when she starts reading the Arabic?
Let me just take a screenshot.
Oh, okay.
All right.
Okay, we got it.
All right. Thanks for exposing these guys, Giant DOC. I need to read your book, Chris. Praying for your ministry and the new studio, David. God bless you all. Oh yeah, everyone definitely get the book and read it and figure out what your favorite points are and just start using them. And guys, I'm telling you, there are other things that bother Muslims more, like moral problems with Muhammad. But as far as like dawah, the Islamic Dilemma is the ultimate dawah stopper. That's what dawah in the West has been built around. Just keep saying their Bible's been corrupted and attacking that and saying, but there's the Quran's been perfectly preserved and so on. And of course, it helps to be able to respond to claims about the Quran, but the entire system has been built upon attacking the Bible and calling it corrupt. If you instantly, every time they bring that up, flip it back and go, well, that's not what your God says, then they got a problem because they got nowhere else to go. Jai was carving up their Arabic pronunciation like the hero of a slasher movie. Jai Voorhees. Jason Voorhees. While the rest of us nodded along, terrified he might ask us to pronounce the next word. Go ahead, pronounce the next word.
Pronounce the next word.
It's pronounced like this. Wrong. Hey, Chris, is your book in audio?
No.
I know it's not. I was asking because wondering about an update on that.
Man, if I did an audiobook, it would take a lot of time. It would be me having to like say lots and lots and lots of words, and I don't want to use AI. So I don't know.
And is that really something that would work for an audio book? Because it's just kind of experience here. If there's a narration, I can listen to that as an audio book. If it's like more like a textbook or something like that, and then I can't process it well. In other words, when I'm reading something like the Islamic Dilemma, I kind of have to pause and think about stuff and pause and think about stuff and pause and think about stuff versus just audio running.
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, a lot of it is just going to be like quotations and stuff. Like, here's the Quran verse, and it's like it's going to read the Quran verse out to you. I mean, I guess some people that's fine, but
that's what I'm wondering because what I'm talking about is just me. Other people might be like, no, I can listen to textbooks all day long.
Maybe.
Let's see. D Wood, we need the Arabic refute video. Well, that won't be me. That would be the Allah with every disorder video. The Mo is greater than Allah or his partner video and manipulation tactics video. Well, I can get you one of those. Hey, it's J49er. By the way, David, I am here for my next order and directive as your loyal henchman. Yes, J49er. You shall find some other person to call an ISIS hoary. These are my orders. For anyone who doesn't know what we're talking about, Jay called Itachi an ISIS hoary because she was praising she was mocking the deaths of the 21. 20 of them were cops and one of them was something else from a different country. But those ones who were executed by ISIS, and she started going, hey, where's my 21 cops in the chat? Hey, where's the 21 cops in the chat? Stuff like that, mocking it. So he called her an ISIS hoary, and that of course got blamed on me. So J49er is my loyal henchman, as everyone now knows. What do you get when you cross a grapefruit with a typewriter? The Quran. And not Takia, though. Not Takia, they're doing Talkia, where they just talk too much. That is good. All right, guys. As I've mentioned, everyone, the link to Chris's book is in the description. You definitely need the Islamic Dilemma book, and you have to learn it. You have to learn the argument. It is absolutely insane that in the world today, you've got all these people. Look what Islam is doing. Oh, look at Islam. Look what it's doing in the UK. Look at the grooming gangs. Look, I'm worried about Sharia taking over. And here's everything that destroys Islam right in front of you. Right in front of you. And it's do a little studying and then use the arguments. Like how? Islam would, I mean, look at the damage that has been done to Islam by a handful of people learning some arguments and popularizing them on the internet. Imagine if Christians in general learned these things. Imagine if 10% of Christians learn the Islamic dilemma, it's done. Dawah is done. It's gone. It would implode instantly. I can't figure out why you got all these people. We need a new crusade. We need to do mass executions. Like, well, that would be a lot of work. If you want to do that amount of work, don't you think it'd be kind of easier to do this little amount of work and like learn, get a book and read it, and then like share what you learn? Because that would, I don't know. All right, hey Chris, final thoughts on anything before we close out?
Well, it looks like the Islamic dilemma is still here, ladies and gentlemen. It hasn't been refuted. It turns out you can waffle a lot about it, though, and you can give very poor Arabic pronunciation, which is pretty awesome. I'm pretty sure I could also do very poor Arabic pronunciation if I really tried. But yeah, I think the Christian team won that hands down. Don't think it was really much of a challenge for any of them, really. It was really good seeing Bella. She did amazing there. I think that was really good to see. I haven't seen her before, so yeah, I think she has a channel. So I've subscribed to that.
Yes, she does. And, yeah, we saw her on. She was one of the women in that 20 versus 1 debate.
Okay, awesome. Yeah. So overall, if you want to learn more about the Islamic dilemma, pick up this book. You can find it on Amazon. Yeah, and I think that's it.
Mm-hmm. Giant DOC.
Well, we are inspired to make some new videos based off of this debate.
Getting on it. We're not gonna sleep the night.
So yeah, this is the Islamic dilemma. I mean, just learn a few of the points that they were making, and just watch how effective it is in your conversations and your evangelism to Muslims. It's very, very effective, and we hope and pray that the Muslims who hear this will repent of their sin, repent of Islam, and come to the Lord Jesus, believe in Him, and have eternal life.
And apparently, you can't miss Muhammad in the Torah.
Who would have known?
I've read it a few times and
Why?
I missed it.
Why? Because our very late sources say that Abdullah bin Salam was a Jew. So this is the proof. This is crazy, guys. So yeah, guys, the big takeaway, and we didn't watch all of it. We didn't watch all of it here. We only watched a few parts and stuff, but based on watching the beginning and some of the middle and then the end and so on, you've got a mixture of just bringing up things to distract people from the dilemma and to just talk about a bunch of stuff that don't help you at all. I mean, saying, oh, the Torah was corrupted or this or that or something like, guess what? The Torah could be the most corrupt book that has ever existed. It doesn't change the fact that the Quran is affirming it, the one that existed during the time of Muhammad, and that Jesus, according to the Quran, was affirming the Torah that was there during his time and so on. So that's the problem, guys. If the Torah hasn't been corrupted, then Islam is false, because Islam doesn't line up with the Torah. But if the Torah has been corrupted, Islam is false because it affirms the Torah. It doesn't work either way, guys. That's the point of the dilemma. So a bunch of the stuff that they're bringing up and talking about don't help them at all. Like none, 0%. But then the stuff that they actually did bring up, it's the same stuff we've been responding to already, and we've heard 1,000 times. Oh, Muhammad means corrector and conscious, and then there's the conscious edits, the stuff that they actually bring up that's relevant to the discussion. They're just wrong on. It's the same stuff we hear over and over again, which means if they keep bringing up the same responses over and over again, that means you can learn the responses and you know what they're going to bring up. Mm-hmm. And by the way, those responses, they don't get any better than those responses. That's kind of all they've got. And over 90, probably 7 or 98% of the Muslims you'll ever talk to, they wouldn't even be able to give those responses. So the responses that they're giving, that the Muslim apologists give, they don't work at all. And you won't even get those responses from the vast majority of Muslims. Most Muslims are going to be totally just have no clue what they're going to be hearing these verses that you bring up for the first time. They don't know what Surah 5 verse 43 says. They don't know what Surah 5 verse 47 says. They don't know what Surah 10 verse 94 says. They don't know what these verses say. They don't know what 7:157 says. They don't know these verses. They don't know 285. They don't know any of this. And they're generally pretty confused when they realize that the Quran says the opposite of what they're told all their lives that it says. So, guys, learn the verses, learn the argument, and go out and crush Islam. Last one here. The Prophet would be proud. These three bent and twisted the book in more positions than Mo did on the night of Al-Zut. That is true. They're zooting their own book, guys. They're treating the Quran the way the Al-Zut treated Muhammad. And it's just sad. All right, everyone. Thanks for joining us, and we'll catch you all later.